Every single story finds an ending, and every single hero will face their end game. Let's find out who the best in the world is. Atlanta, let me hear you. Viewers in the chat, spam the emotes. We've got the Juggernauts, the winners of the upper bracket, Virtus Pro. Across the multiverse, one name has echoed louder than the rest. From dreams in June to the reality in November, the undefeated Titans, Virtus Pro. Known as the greatest strategist in the world, Saipei! Next in line, he smells blood in the water, the support that always bites back, Dredro! The Vanguard, with all the ice in the veins. He's from Iceland, it's Vincere! Fi doesn't enter the fights, he ignites them. Say what's up to Fi! The sweetest army knife of Vanguards, the one, the only, Nivix! And finally, when he looks you in the eye, you already know it's too late. The one, the only, Sparker! Alrighty, folks, now the gauntlet of the lower bracket, trying to go for the repeat. Give it up for Navi! They have been here before, they have lifted the trophy. They know exactly what it takes to do it again. The reigning mid-season finals, the lower bracket dominators. Let's get on our feet for Navi. Now we know him as the Shark, as the strategist that moves first and the map moves with them. Give it up for Fate. Your mid-finals MVP, the strategist himself, level 1 Crook. He doesn't just protect the team, he commands the battle. Give it up for Rajaro. The newest blade in the fight, he is Psylocke, the sidekick assassin. What's up, Jerky? Cold aim and hotter confidence. Say what's up to Naga. And leadership you can feel, an impact you cannot ignore. Trust me! All right, trust me. Come with me up here, Sparker. Come join me. Listen. We're at, trust me, come on over here. Listen, right now we know EMEA on top. It's not about what...
The Marvel Rivals Ignite Grand Finals! The stage of immortals ready to find our final champion for the year.
The Marvel Rival Grand Finals as we head into our Grand Final matchup right here. I'm one of your co-hosts, I Run Chip. You're with my co-caster, Dogman. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing great, Chip. Back here yet again. Mid-season, we finished that up, but now it's the Grand Finals. $1 million on the line, Chip. 862,000 euros, though, because this is a EMEA on EMEA fight in Chip. We are here in person in LAN, and let's just do one more dap to go because...
Yeah, you missed it.
We might as well Well, yeah, you missed it earlier on, but at the moment, Shiv, this is going to be a fantastic matchup. Na'Vi and VP. I mean, you talk about Marvel, you talk about Marvel Rivals. This is a movie. This is cinema in the making. Any of these stories of the players that we've heard about throughout, I mean, you can make a movie about any single one of them. You could see this ignite in the movie theaters if that was a thing, but going into it, Shiv, Grand Finals, it's going to be our very first of 4.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much talent on both teams. The matchups are going to be insane. You look at Dredro and Saipe versus level 1 Crook and Fate, for example. Trust me, going against the other side of Nevix in terms of Vanguard fronts. And when something like that Psylocke battle with Sparker and Jerky, so many huge storylines and even more.
And yeah, I mean, you mentioned Jerky. Jerky, he's been all business. I mean, formerly of all business, picked up his pace of play recently to reach levels that of Sparker, like you said. He's been one of the best Psylocke players. Naga as well has had an incredible day today. So recency bias, it feels like Na'Vi is playing a lot better, but VP have that head-to-head that we saw earlier on.
Yeah, it'd be a crime to say it's essentially the skill matchup versus the brain, because it would essentially be a roast to either team that has both of those things, as we're going to be drafting in a moment here. I don't know what the answer is against these teams in terms of bans, because they have so many different compositions they can run.
Right, and they're all good in the current patch and the current meta. And we just had, I mean, let alone, this is how fast Marvel Rivals move, Shiv. I mean, recently there was a patch a couple weeks ago that just came out. These players had to adapt and learn to not only the ban phase that's going on, the asymmetrical ban phase. We're going into Hell's Heaven first, an absolute classic, as we know. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things that go into it in terms of adapting, and Jerky on this side has been able to adapt. And a lot of these EU players are really good at dive, at this sort of surround and Anaconda style. And at the moment, it's these two that are trying to take that crown yet again and repeat themselves. But it's Jerky, the newbie to the squad, and Naga as well, veteran of hero shooters. And same thing with Saipe on the other side for VP. This team is going to be an incredibly formidable opponent. I can't wait to watch. We just want to get into the game like they did on the stage.
Yeah, you mentioned those self-survivable, divey, Zootopia backline compositions that are very much KO fest. A ton of fun to watch, and that is exactly what we can expect to see as we dive into our first draft. Make some noise here in the arena as we start off our first game.
Start off the draft here, Na'Vi versus Virtus Pro. I mean, this is two incredible organizations as well. I mean, in esports as a whole, many of people know them, and to have them here in the grand finals, it just makes sense. Na'Vi goes for that Jeff ban, and on the opposite side, VP going for Mantis. We've seen how good Jeff has been. Also, the Jeff ban from Na'Vi has been a bit of a staple so far, countered by Captain America Protect.
Yeah, they're not too worried about the Mantis. They just want to ensure that that Jeff doesn't get huge ultimates. And here at Hell's Heaven, that is very much something you need to be afraid of. There's a lot of off-map potential. Can absolutely sweep your team. And the Psylocke ban there from Na'Vi was something I might have expected to see. I'm curious if they could potentially get the lock in a Psylocke, but we'll see shortly.
We'll see if it happens, because you're right, that could be a mismatch already, but Emma Frost bans could come through. No, they go for the Jeff.
Better luck.
Better luck for sure. We had him earlier on the stage, obviously, the voice actor of Jeff coming through. And for Na'Vi, you know, that's their Protect, but what is the ban going to be for VP side? They have their chance now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to see here. That makes sense to me. You want to ensure Trust Me does not have access to that Venom. We saw how strong he is on that hero. It's a hero that allows him to buy time on point, and we saw throughout some of these matchups, Trust Me would essentially just fall on point. No matter if his team lost the fight, he would turn the point to his side so that it would move forward on, on combo or convergence, for example, and then all of those fights were for naught because the point never moved, and that's all that matters in those modes.
Yeah, right now in this current patch, it does seem, like you said, he's been able to kind of counter most of the target focus onto him. Psylocke ban comes out for Virtus Pro. He's also the captain of the team. Na'Vi, Trust Me, that is, Na'Vi on the opposite side, going for that Bucky Protect, making sure they at least get one of the strongest duelists in the game right now. Understanding you lose that Psylocke, you lose pretty much a free fight win because of how much damage Psylocke does, even through Shrouded Souls. You can get eliminations through it. So both teams making sure either side can't play Psylocke. Venom going through on Na'Vi side, which is very interesting moving forward. But for VP, they go for the Invisible Woman ban. This has been something that's been picking up later as the tournament. We saw how good it was in the group stages ship, but at the moment it seems like we're kind of re-entering back into the stage 2 of Ignite, where Invisible Woman was so strong.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of success in terms of duelists, too, from things like Psylocke, Bucky. We've also seen Star-Lord especially take place here. But these Psylocke bans are something I think have been kind of slept on. And these teams at the very top here of EMEA and apparently across the world are definitely looking to ban that out.
Yeah. Now we're going to enter it, Shib, for that trophy in the background. Virtus Pro versus Navi is about to come up. I know some of you in the DreamHack Arena might be walking around somewhere else. Stop on by because these players have been putting in the work, like Trust Me have said, and pretty much the entirety of VP. Both of these teams know how much time and investment and work and effort it takes to get to this level. To be the top 2 teams in the world is no easy feat, Chip. There's a reason we're only left with 2 out of thousands of players online, thousands of teams even online in North America, EMEA, Oceania, and Asia region. So all of this comes down to this grand finals for $1 million.
Yeah, when it comes to Hell's Heaven, I have no doubt when that band comes through a Venom, we will see something like Angela coming through in terms of the Vanguard frontline or Cap. So we'll see what they elect to do shortly. Emma on the table as well as we start up here in a moment. First fight means a ton. And again, Virtus Pro has not lost a single domination total across this tournament. Will Navi be the team to make that happen?
Very well could be setting off on the very first match of the day, Shib. Or sorry, very first map of the grand finals because, yeah, it's not the first match of the day. We've had an incredible amount of emotions going through as Trust Me with the portal. See where they want to go.
And immediately after this portal, we'll be making that switch. That's something we've seen Trust Me do a lot here. Setting up the portal, looking for a kidnap opportunity, which doesn't seem to come through instead. Just going to isolate and start off this first fight on height.
Just kind of controlling that for now with that Adam Warlock triple composition. Something we talk about in general, when you have that beacon, you want to find it on the opposite side. Dridro's BRB is found. That means they don't have that res. Jerky's going to fall, not going to be brought back into the fight because of them hunting down the beacon earlier. Fate able to trade it back, though. Adam Warlock on the side of Navi, however, means as long as Naga can build up that ultimate, they can resurrect everybody back in the fight. Also, the Soul Bond coming out to keep that Adam Warlock alive. Meanwhile, VP kind of surrounding that point. Finzi on the back line, knowing the cooldowns are removed, needs to find eliminations before ults are potentially built because VP haven't built up any.
Yeah, that pick is more valuable there on Jerky, in my opinion, just due to the ult being a little more valuable. Finzi, though, going to find Naga now, but that res will come through likely. Level 1 Crook goes down from Finzi, who's looking clean on Cap. Naga going to res back as stated as Fi gets one, and Finzi again looking so clean on the front line.
I feel like, Chib, we've seen these Adam Warlock comps succeed, don't get me wrong, but it does feel like Virtus Pro and Navi are both teams that are incredibly good at not going down. You know, in the group stages and also back in stage 2 of Ignite, it did feel like Adam Warlock's success was also found in his pickoff potential. We need to see Naga start to find those pickoffs, maybe onto people who dive onto the back line, but VP, they're so smart. They're playing 2 heroes in terms of the duelist line that are hard to take down in Daredevil, who gets that overhealth, and same thing for Star-Lord with those flips.
That Murdoch getting so much value here for VP2 in this tournament. A hero that we weren't sure we'd see much, but at this level of play, clearly is very strong with some good coordination and just in the neutral can find a ton of value. The whole side of Navi electing to drop back together now and prep for ults, but at this point, 60% on and counting. They got to get there soon.
Doors open as the map shifted about 60%. Now they come through. Brute and everybody trying to peel back off. Here's the Jeff on the coastal side. Does grab 2 of his team. Pushes them back into the main side. Able to find 5. Brought back by Dridro's BRB. Freedom Charge comes out. The fight hopefully long for Navi. Remember, Naga does not have that cocoon. Using that passive earlier. If he falls, he's going to be out of the fight. Removing that res. And VP close out on the rest of Navi, setting him to spawn.
Yeah, I mean, another insanely clean fight here from VP, who have not committed any ults besides Fi and Finzi in that fight. They will have 4 more for the next fight. That's exactly what you're trying to do here on Dom. Do not overcommit ults, so you have answers for the next fight. We will see a res coming in from Naga shortly, and the Strangling Prison from Trust Me, who's now flipped over to that group.
Able to find Fate early, too. I mean, Navi, the back against the wall, they give up the point.
Okay.
Ship, that's round number 1. VP have taken it in this first map. Frozen Airfields, that is theirs. Now we're headed to Eldritch Monument on Hell's Heaven, putting them at round point.
Yeah, you and I had conversations in the green room of who we thought would take this. I threw this VP's way. You said Navi. I said a 4-2, and you thought it was going to go the distance to Game 7 with 4-3 from Navi. We'll find out who takes that home. I always like how we go against each other. And look at those ults available for Virtus.
Yeah, that's a lot of ults available at the current moment. We'll see if any Doctor Strange portal plays are going to come through. No bans onto that hero, so you can kind of go for those gimmick plays. But nobody wants to make that switch, right? It's a matter of the Stratus ultimates, right? When we look at the side of Navi, they can sustain, they can live long enough, they can build that res up for Naga too, who has the cocoon passive up again, but that was one-sided, Chip. That was incredibly one-sided. For Team Navi, they're gonna have to pick it up. I mean, it looks like the desk was split for a good reason, but the faith in VP seems to be restored at LAN. I mean, everybody talked about how good they were online, and now they're bringing it here, that veterancy for Navi. They have some of it too, but can they kind of start that reverse sweep on this map? We'll have to find out, and the ultimates are gonna make a big difference.
Yeah, they're calm, cool, and collected. They just looked so composed there and did not lose their cool in any fight. Again, not overcommitting a single time, and that's exactly what you want to do on Dom. Start that hold, and then ensure you can stall for as long as possible. Nevix now going to be holding on the high side here, ready with that retribution. Going to keep up on height. Trust me, holding on to the strangling prison now, looking potentially towards the backline. Rojaro is going to have that psionic. Bond goes out early on as there won't be a ton of damage there. Sparker in the sky is going to be matched right back by level 1 Crook, who's going to stall, and that should be a almost gets that pick on Nevix, and now Nevix goes down as Jerky gets the first pick. Dredro gonna bring Nevix right back into the fight though.
Yeah, big BRB coming through to bring back him in the fight, and then also that Storm to keep everybody healthy on the inside for Na'Vi. So they're not giving up that point just yet, Shib, as that BRB, or that see you later, keeps everybody healthy. Nevix able to find the pick on Rojaro, traded back through Na'Vi res by Naga, coming through to bring everybody back with the crack and attack from Jerky.
And Jerky starts now, finding one. Does that no, it does not get reset as there was a juke in that play. Still gonna be a pick early on. Out goes that Eternal Bond here from Fate. Nobody has the point just yet. Vincere gonna match it right back with a freedom charge. Keep the team healthy. Saipei holding on there to that invisible boundary, as that will be the ult that can keep them on at this current moment. Looks like the fight's in their favor. There's that match right now from Saipei, who's not even gonna stand inside that boundary. Just play from downtown. Out goes the legend as Vincere cleans up one onto Naga. Down goes Fate from Sparker as they're still walking. The rest comes through from Naga though, but no, it is not enough at the current moment. The rest will fall.
And we heard behind the scenes as the wipe comes through on the Trust Me. Na'Vi, whenever they're forced under this group composition, look a little bit, I don't know, odd, right? VP have all the momentum on their side. They're able to kind of play whatever they want. Taking a look back at the ban phase, the Venom did get through, but the Invisible Woman ban also changes a lot in terms of their PO potential on VP's side. Their overall dive as well is phenomenal, constantly diving in, setting up Na'Vi, making them uncomfortable. It feels like Na'Vi's pulling a very similar strat that we saw at a FlyQuest last game, and we saw dive tends to beat this front-to-back style out of Groot and the rest of the heroes that Na'Vi are playing.
Yeah, it's all about now if they can find a solution. A team known for finding a way out of tricky spots a lot. Out goes the Let the Devil Out. It's matched right back by the invisible, the dance floor and the strangling prison here. Out goes the Sia from the side of VP, keeping the damage up as Dredro is going to bring back 5. Fight continues. Down goes the Retribution, and everyone falls once more as VP have not skipped a beat here.
And the Rocket Raccoon advantage is huge too. I mean, in that fight, they pick off 5, but 5 can play that aggressive. I mean, you talked about how the best players, by the way, the peel comes out, or the stagger comes out, on the Rojaro, brutal, as he's going to get really hard stagger, body block, shoved around the corner, eventually goes off, but that was nearly 10% given to VP. That's a huge advantage for them. But as I was saying earlier, Shib, I mean, unfortunately for Na'Vi, they have nobody really to find these BRBs from Dredro. They're swapping Crook over to Rocket Raccoon. This character is basically broken in the recent patch, got buffed, as well as it's basically Adam Warlock, but in the neutral, every single fight you have a res that you don't have to commit for, you don't have to put yourself in danger for, so it's so smart that both of these teams are playing Rocket now.
You see Na'Vi making those switches as we discussed this late. It is a sign of a team that's really trying to find a solution, maybe panicking a little bit, losing that ult from Rojaro down to 50%. Out goes the Galactic Legend from Naga now, who's going to be matched right back by the freedom charge of Vincere. Everybody on the point is still healthy and holding on. Some damage goes out as the spin to win with the Blaster Barrage goes up. Sparker, though, gonna try to find one. What an escape there! And they are still walking, though, as VP is gonna find 1 and 2 as Jerky and level 1 Crook go down.
This is incredibly hard to deal with. They do trigger overtime. The Jeff's going to be able to touch for a little bit longer. Saipei dodges it. Fate goes down. The H-Jeff removed. Saipei's movement, positioning on point portal. Is it even going to be there on time? It looks like it is, but everybody doesn't make it through. And VP win map number 1.
That was so dominant across the board there for VP. They have yet to lose a domination, and that still will be the case. Just textbook play across the board.
You can see they were locked in before when we saw the stage, right? The player announcements coming through, and you know, look on the other side. That was the former finals MVP you saw on your screen, by the way, in level 1 Crook, in which we were obviously gassing him up a lot yesterday. But today he takes down that first map loss. And this is what we talked about when we look back at the midseason. People were saying Envy was that number 2 team. I mean, they made it to the grand finals in that midseason. But this man, Sparker, everybody was wondering when he's going to get to LAN. When is VP going to get to LAN? How will they play on LAN? So many questions were in the air. But at the moment, they seem to be answering them, Shib. Map number 1 going their way, and they're trying to build that momentum that Na'Vi now does not have.
Yeah, and this is the first time in a while we've seen Virtus.pro have a very successful ban that was good into Na'Vi. I think they've really downloaded what they need to do to make their comp work and pressure through Na'Vi, who has just had such an easy time at some of these matchups walking towards the backline.
And Shib, they're playing for that. Their trophy in the middle of the stage. Can't wait to see one of these two teams lift that baby in unison. We'll have to see who's crowned that final MVP too, because that does matter. Crook, as you mentioned, was that finals MVP last time at the midseason. He was kind of, a little bit silent here, but I don't know if it necessarily was his fault. Na'Vi almost played right into VP's hands, it felt like.
Yeah, and just looking, we were looking there at Vincere on that cap. I can't count the amount of times Vincere was finding an elimination, not only in the backline, on virtually everyone, just playing very aggro, and I don't think we saw Vincere go down once in that dom, which is a testament to just great positioning and knowing engagement timing.
That's a great point. We'll have to take a look at those stats in just a bit, because that guy, like you said, Vincere, doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
Neither does the opposite side in Nevix, right? This VP team plays around Fi, obviously, like you can see his incredible performance on Daredevil and a new hero.
Yeah.
Being able to pick up a hero, that says a lot within a couple weeks. Playing it at this high of a level is huge, but it's kind of cool to see him alongside the Angela, two characters that maybe people underestimated, I think, going into this, but now today you can see in tandem, they look dangerous.
Yeah, just building off that point there with Fi. Fi is known to be very aggressive on the duelist front, and that's exactly what you're looking for from somebody playing Daredevil, because once you get that initial pick, you snowball, and then you just walk down the rest and get that all quickly.
Cool. Let's take a look at the stats. It was crazy games at both Vincere and Sparker, like you said earlier, Shib. You could see exactly that. Vincere nearly with 9K damage, but no casualties. Like you said, no deaths on his angle. Having a 22 KD, what the hell? That is crazy. To be infinite, basically. And then for Sparker on his angle as well, same thing. And then also nearly doing 14K damage. So these guys are both popping off. The whole team is on another level at the current moment. We'll see if Na'Vi can catch up as they have Convoy and Convergence to pick from now.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes you look at the damage number and it's misconstrued. You think, oh, they didn't do that much. But again, we talk about when you can get eliminations with less damage numbers, that is typically a sign of very targeted and good damage. It doesn't just feed those strategists in the backline, which is exactly what you're looking for.
And let's take a look at our crowd real quick. By the way, make some noise if you're here. Now, we obviously saw some Vincere gameplay, as we see flying on the screen, as this man has been that guy on Captain America, and or rather on a lot of these anchor characters as well. Basically, you play whatever for the team. It feels like he's that flex and also anchor role, which is hard to do. This game, you got to be flexible in Vanguard. Ship. Can you talk about that too? You have so much experience on the Vanguard role in ranked and one above all in Celestial lobbies as well. What is it like? How do you even begin to add heroes to your hero pool?
Yeah, it's all about putting time in. That's really everything. The more time you have on the 10,000 hour rules, you're always going to be better and better over time. But in this current meta, it's very much about those more divey frontline Vanguards. Venom in an incredibly strong place. Cap as well, getting back to the backline. And then, Emma doing a great job. But I think Emma has been maybe a little bit too banned out in this tournament, because we're seeing these teams elect to not run Emma as much and still finding much more success.
That's an excellent point because of what we saw in the ban phase. We'll see if they do it on Convoy and Convergence, but teams are starting to realize, I think, that maybe it's, as you said, the Emma bans could have been a waste earlier on in the tournament. Maybe not necessary for this squad, and it does feel like Na'Vi's played a lot better since doing so, but taking a look at Sparker too, another guy that you've mentioned and then everybody talks about throughout the scene. He's been around, he's hung around this block, and he even put down one of the prodigies of this team in FlyQuest with Energy building his way up, was a future of this game. Also, Sparker, when he made his debut in the hero shooter genre, he was as old as Energy is. I believe they talked about on the desk as well, and this guy, nowadays, a veteran in the scene and still living up to expectations.
Yeah, putting time in and getting into the big stage. This is the first time we've seen this team again, folks, here at a LAN, and they are acting like they've been here forever as we glance over at Trust Me. We talked about this over there on the analyst desk as well. A leader of comms, bans, strategy, team fights, and ultimate commitment. So that is a ton on your shoulders.
That's a lot of pressure, and it seems like that's the common story that all of these pro players, especially the in-game leaders that we have. I don't think that's talked about enough in this game because it's a bit faster than I think like tactical shooter IGLs are. But in a hero shooter, you got to think on the fly. It's a lot like comparing tennis to baseball. Or like the downtime is just not there, right? You're constantly thinking things. You can't do set plays. Going over to the next map, we're headed to Spider Islands 2 ship. That's the pick that Na'Vi had. They're also very interesting. They do some very interesting picks with those map picks, specifically taking us to Kunlun and those type of maps as well. This makes sense out of their squad.
Yeah, this is definitely a dive-heavy map where you can set up on high sides and commit towards the back line together. There's some off-map location as well, so we'll see what they elect to do. This is also very good for triple-triple as we head into our second ban phase of this grand finals. We gotta see here if Na'Vi can bounce back and make this a 1-1 series on their map choice.
It's map number 2, and if you're in the crowd or in the audience, you know after this one, you're gonna have a little bit of a break if you need to go to the restroom, get some snacks, because this is gonna be a nerve-wracking game. I mean, even in the last one, you saw the fans of FlyQuest, they were incredibly nervous for a good reason, because there's still an incredible amount of money, $320,000 for first place,
Crazy.
right? If you go anywhere down below that, you are slightly, losing basically half your money. So it's a big deal. Na'Vi going for that Mantis Band opposite side, VP, same thing. Knowing that on Convoy/Convergent map types, you want to take those two characters out of the rotation.
Yeah, they're going to lock in Finzi's cap right there and then back over to Trust Me's Venom, which I think is a huge lock for them. I think this will enable what they want here from their more divey composition, and they are electing to attack first as that ban out of Sylark and Star-Lord, which we saw the match back and forth there once the Sylark was banned.
I think that makes sense. I think the Star-Lord ban on the opposite side is interesting too, because Rocket still's making it through the overall. Oh my goodness, brand phase, excuse me. I just was walking around the venue, had a soda apparently. Meanwhile for Na'Vi, they pull out the Star-Lord ban, opposite side for Jeff. Or I just get a human like Jeff is in these games, right? For VP, they love playing around Dridro and Jeff. It makes sense to keep him on it too. Dridro, one of the best Jeff players in the game, and also one of the first to do it on the opposite side. And Fate, make sure he doesn't get it. He can't get his hero, his comfort pick.
Yeah, that's a really good ban and lock right there. Dridro's had huge ultimates on Jeff, which we've seen from Fate as well, but it's almost back-to-back consistency there from Dridro every time. And this is definitely an off-map location where you can find those eliminations. So we will start to see what our final bands out. You know what, Na'Vi, I do like removing the Mantis and also the Rocket. This enables them to ensure there is no damage boost. The alt charge will not come back any quicker. You can't hard pocket something like the side of Sparker going in heavy on some sort of duelist, or even Fi on Daredevil with that extra damage. So they are instead going to take and lock in that Rocket they found success with.
Makes sense. I think Rocket is one of the strongest heroes in the game, as well as, and that's crazy to say. I mean, all these heroes, Jeff, you talked about before, that was the big thing we talked about mid-season, but we're heading into it. Yep, Mantis, yep, all these heroes that people underestimated now coming into the limelight and now have been the main sort of heroes played in the main stage, in which you are here. If you're in the audience as well, make some noise for your favorite teams in Na'Vi versus Virtus Pro. You're over here in DreamHack Atlanta, Georgia. It's 2025, Shiv, and I can't wait to see what this future has in store, because these two teams are trying to cement their legacy, not only at mid-season, but they know the grand prize is right here, right in front of them on Spider Islands. That's one step further, one step closer to that end goal.
Personally, a huge fan of this map. VP 1 up here against Na'Vi in this grand finals. Best of 7, first to 4. Will they find another, or will Na'Vi bounce back on the map of their choice, folks? We'll be diving right in. We'll see if they run those triple comps.
We'll see if they run it. Shib, I need to bounce back. I don't know. I think it feels like I had an alter ego. They ate some dog bones earlier. Maybe that's why I had that burp in the draft phase. Now Na'Vi starting an attack. Gonna play that Rocket Raccoon matchup that they have unmatched on the opposite side. I feel like I like their draft at the current moment. And they're gonna start off the Storm Comp 2 for a second to see if they play against that triple Shib. I mean, it makes sense. Sparker onto that Adam Warlock as well. They're figuring it out. They want to play Jerky onto that Adam, or onto that Hella. You know how good he's been on that earlier in the series as well versus FlyQuest. We'll see if he can play it to a high level here.
Finzi still holding that Itis. Nevix gets the early pick there onto Jerky. That's an early start. The res comes through on a Jerky early on as it is in the spawn. Saipei gonna find Naga, and that will not be res, so defense is clearly working for them, and they are running that triple comp.
Man, why does Na'Vi feels like they're playing what FlyQuest are running? Like, this is insane. VP kind of consistently playing these sort of compositions that do well, and just as a back-to-back composition, rather, or front-to-back composition right now, but they also have that Jeff, right, constantly in the backline. That was the matchup trade that Na'Vi gave up, and at the moment we'll see if Dridro can get value out of that hero like we know he is capable of.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a ton of success with this comp getting out of a spawn door in a triple hold, but again, Na'Vi is the team that has the big brain. We'll see if they're able to do that as Saipei goes low, as Naga on the off angle tries to find one. Great positioning there as Fi finds Trust Me, and still this hold from VP is looking clean.
Yeah, invisible when you can't put the shield around yourself, but you can put it around a teammate, and he just left it there and just played back and forth. Almost went down, but Rocket Raccoon, because of how much healing it provides on top of the direct heat healing you get when you get hit by those orbs on 50 HP, it's just so much. Also, Jerky is just taking poke from Nevix his entire fight.
Nevix almost putting one right down early on as Vincere now gonna find Naga, who reses right back. Level 1 Crook now gonna get the first pick there onto Nevix, and they're walking. The eat comes through from Dreedro. Might have to commit here as Venom does have an escape route. Potentially, oh, really good aim, looking straight down to not allow that to work out.
I mean, that KO box right there, it changes per map, right? Spider Islands is that low, you could do it in that angle. Meanwhile, Jerky committing the ult and just pushes them back. Maybe you can find Fine. Nice bubble to keep him alive. The Jet Bolts are here. Freedom Charge to come back into it. That Goddess of Death is about to run out. BP are going to be able to have to commit with ults.
2 minutes still available here on this attack for Na'Vi. Here's some commitment. Ayavagamoto goes out for 5. Does not land on anyone available at the moment. Naga, though, going to find a pick there on a VP in terms of Dreedro. Jerky onto Fi, and they are starting to walk now, but there is still some answers to get back to this point. Vincere onto Naga.
This is what all these good teams do, Shib. We heard this is like the deathmatch meta, and it's for good reason. Now Sparker and them eventually fall, but you never feel comfortable. You commit ults all the time because you build them up so quickly. And look, Sparker's going to come back into the fight. He's going to need to build up to that resurrection in this fight to bring back his team. Meanwhile, Na'Vi set up Jerky on the high ground. Can he find those eliminations? Cards coming towards the very end, Chip. We're at 1 minute and 20 meters left, or sorry, 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go with less than 100 meters. But Fate, see you later, pops it down towards that point. The damage output is going to be here. Fi goes down to the backside of Global 1 Crook. Jerky now with the follow-up on the Nevix. The bubble has been used, and everything comes in terms of those spell daggers, resulting in Sparker falling down. He doesn't have his cocoon. They have to use the portal to come back.
Trust me, with some full commitment there. Rojaro as well. The portal will come through. Will it get there in time, though? Very close, and it looks like it will if they can commit at the last second. They do with 3 meters on available. Dreedro goes under. Will this eat be huge? This is an opportunity to find some success here, and Sparker does have that res out and available there for VP. Dreedro goes down as Level 1 Crook gets that pick. Sparker gonna find a 2-piece, or excuse me, 1, and bring back Dreedro. Level 1 Crook onto Sparker now, up in the sky with a meteorite from downtown. Does not land as Naga takes out Nevix. The fight proceeds here as, trust me, just pestering that back line.
You know, this VP comp, it feels like it's a bit safe from them. Trust me, takes down Sidebait, though, with the tracking. Nice shots from him. They freedom charge as well. Just make sure they can get that win. Fi falls low, gets his own freedom charge, too. But Na'Vi, man advantage. Jerky finds Fi. Can they find any more with 10 seconds left to go? They're still around this payload, and this convoy will not move forward as long as VP is contesting. But they still lack a lot of the members of their squad. They don't have anybody here. They also have no Rocket Raccoon to bring them back. They just used Sparker in that res. And VP, they're going to get staved off for now. Na'Vi moving to the second phase. I like the switch-ups out of them, Ship.
Yeah, some duelist ultimates available here. Saipe is holding on to that invisible boundary, but you can actually match that right back with the last stand from Naga to pull her right out of that ultimate. Could be an answer if that is the goal here on this attack from Na'Vi. We'll see if that's what Naga is looking for. Saipe holding on, about the only ult at the moment. Dreedro will be there as well, as they did commit on that defense. Na'Vi still going to be patient with those ults. Very well played there on their attack, as there is only 2 minutes on here for point 2.
2 minutes on. It's not a lot of time, but the Streets phase we've seen get snowballed before. We'll see how VP react. Fi on the Hella is an interesting choice. This team also not necessarily known, I think, for their hit scan play. Fi more for that Human Torch, for that Daredevil we've seen recently. So we'll see how he does versus Jerky, who's met a lot of the really good Hella players on the left side angle. Gets hit by that Dirge, has to fall back, but does have the overhelp from committing his shift and the Crow back to his team. But you do have that name World on the side of Sparker as well, ready to go on that defensive angle. We'll see if Na'Vi walk into it. They have the huge stun with the last stand out of Naga. Here comes the Visible Boundary. Dreedro on the backside. Fate, or Jeff ult
is going to find 1. Is that going to work out? Heading back towards the team, knowing that the off-map potential may be low with that jump right back from Invis. Sparker onto Naga, though, who still, did commit that ultimate, and it did not seem to work out too much. Saipe did go down. Sparker holding on here to that Orna Parodi as we see Fi in the sky with 1 onto Fate. Make it 2. Why don't you? Out of downtown throw there. Trust me, as week 2 is going to burn that E cooldown and going to reset with the team.
I mean, Fi is one of the smartest players in this game overall, and that's why he's here in the grand final. Sparker also with the follow-up. Obviously, we talk about him a lot more, but Fi has really put his name on the map for our international audience in this grand finals and in the playoffs, group stages. He's been a huge component in Virtus Pro's success. Now Na'Vi want to walk up. They do have see you later engagement. We'll see if this fight stalls out with these freedom charges. When is this Namer Whale going to come in from Sparker and Naga?
They do have 2 answers right now in terms of ultimates, but you can be a little more aggressive with them as there is no duelist ult you need to counter at the current moment from the side of Na'Vi, and gets put to 18 HP and does fall there as the undead squid pops. Looking for Jerky in this off angle. Nevic's gonna find 2 with a 2-piece. Do I see 3 here? Gets matched right back with a Sia though, and up in the sky. Will we see a pick here from Jerky? He's trying to find an angle. Doesn't look like that will come through at the current moment, but the space is being taken here from Na'Vi, who still have Rajaro and Naga available.
Vincere with the freedom charge, dives to the backline. Sparker still with that whale. Same thing with Naga. That's going to be the biggest component. Dirge on the backline to slow down Saipe. They're all connected with the overhealth, but where is that whale? Is he going to come down? Naga already finds Saipe without it. Meanwhile, both teams kind of stalling out on the objective. Here comes that Jeff. Ultimates Jeff on the backline. Jerky gets slowed down, taken down by 5. Here comes the whale! Blocked by Trust Me, though. Nice job staying away from it, but Virtus Pro still missing members of their squad. Are going to need to rely maybe a portal or something. But to throw! And it is Ethan, you called that earlier. Takes 2 off the map. He swam to the edge and removes them. VP gets stopped and not, or rather stop Na'Vi on their defense.
Na'Vi just not committing those ults aggressively enough. Coming in heavy with the Itchjet, finding a 2-piece there onto the back line, and that will be the swan song of .2. Not able to get it quite there. Na'Vi gonna have to defend a little bit tighter here. Let's see what composition they run to hold them on .1 for as long as possible.
Good stuff out of VP there. We'll see them as they switch over to the attacking side. You can see at the very top of the screen the attacking little sword, and for Na'Vi the little shield.
Yeah, I think one of the major things we need to see there, again, we talked a little bit about Na'Vi just not committing those ults. A lot of the times they were trying to wait for the perfect moment to make a play, and that is the downside to trying not to overcommit, is sometimes you don't commit enough, and Na'Vi seemingly holding those ults when they could have cycled them a few times.
And Saipe on the opposite side, Invisible Woman. You see the pools, you see the trophy. Right, Saipe's trying to almost force physics that trophy to his team's lap right now. Like, he was doing so much in terms of setting up a squad, countering Trust Me. Because in the mid-season, we talked about how good Trust Me was on Venom and how no one really was at that level just yet. For Trust Me, he was shut down. I mean, honestly, it just was constant pressure from the backline of VP, and you talk about that being Saipe. He is a star. He is probably the best strategist in the game right now.
Sparker is going to be showing right now. Ooh, they are going to switch completely to run that Namor Hela composition that we saw actually prior. And here goes the engagement off the rip. There is no triple comp here for the side of Na'Vi on that defense, selecting to run a little more divey focused self-survival, but still going to do that Hela Namor. It feels like a little bit of a mixed comp.
It does, Trust Me. Goes in for a Jerky to try to hold the W key to the rest of VP's side, but they go for that dive to peel off. But guess who's brought back into his team? It's Naga from Nevix.
Angela is such a menace and is going to be looking for that res there on Naga, looking for on the high side, going to deal some damage and drop back towards the team, and only took, 69 damage at that moment as Dredro is going to take out Trust Me there, and wow, just walking forward 5, cleaning up the rest, and Nevix by again, and that is enough to get them through this early start.
Yeah, brutal fight for Na'Vi there. I mean, sent back, they do have the BRB advantage, but they're never being able to trade it. I mean, the momentum we've seen from Na'Vi in the past have always been when they're on these more divey comps, they can go aggressive with Trust Me, but nobody's there to follow up. I mean, Rajaro on the cap could set up with Trust Me, but he's usually on those anchor heroes. VP, meanwhile, able to sort of change momentum when you have Nevix on that Angela.
Could see a combo here coming up from Na'Vi with that damage-boosted Whale, but not quite sure that's what they're looking for. Sparker holding on to Whale as well, and Dredro going to have that Itch Jeff in a moment. But at this point, they've already walked up to this spot, and Sparker is going to find a 2-piece from downtown, make it 3, as Fate gets that res right back once more, trying to stall, but they are down heavy in numbers.
Now you start to question, did Na'Vi really send themselves back? They tossed their own Angela back in. Nevix, like a bird spit out of the mouth of some sort of trap, comes back into the fight now into that sideline of Naga and crew, throwing the Whale out in desperation, it almost seems. I mean, the portal is there from Jerky. They have the squad. He's able to find one at the very least, but Naga gets traded out, so it's a 1-for-1 trade with the portal, waiting for Vincere. He's not going to be here with this fight with that freedom charge, but Rajaro's going to have to build his own.
Yeah, was able to find some success with that Whale, surprisingly. Is more of a zoning ultimate just to try to stay up and healthy, but did not work out, but did find the trade. So it's kind of up for debate here. What a tackle there from Nevix, who's keeping the pressure on still, and is owning this front line right back towards the back line. And Paz is gonna fall. Crook gets taken out with a follow-up from 5, and what a play there. Sparker gonna take out Jerky. Level 1 Crook back in the fight, though.
We're seeing the value of this Invisible Woman at just such a high level as Saipe finds Trust Me. The portal was used, so they're gonna have to give it up. Na'Vi does, using every single ult too. So we're headed to the second phase. That was clean of the VP. And this team is looking so good and synergistic.
Flawless.
Nevik sets them up with those grabs. Here comes the see you later, though. Vincere finds Naga. Side fake it straight in, and Dridro falls. So just as we're talking about him, I mean, you have the Spider-Man coming out to try to stall.
Put my Spider-Man socks on for a reason. Somebody's got to put on the mask here as Jerky is going to be able to find one elimination at the current moment. They are going to retake here. Vincere in a dangerous spot, but does find one. Onto Jerky right back. We'll likely see that switch, likely going in there just to try to get the touch.
I mean, that's good for Jerky. He might switch back too later on to something else. Vincere now getting found to the back line. Can they actually have the follow-up damage? Gets healed by the Jeff across the map. The Invisible Woman and everybody giving him the shields too. Jerky has to come back on the Phoenix, so they're missing him in this fight. Here comes Dridro. Does use that as Jeff. Naga on the backside uses that reflect too, and the objection. Can everybody get away from this ult? It looks like the answer is no! The Invisible Woman, the Daredevil inside. Do they have the support? The shields coming through. Everybody peeling him off and off the map. They're about to go. Dridro sets up for it. Sends off Naga. On the backside, the Invisible Woman is invisible, but it doesn't matter. The team, it does fall. Level 1 Crook eventually does too, and we move into the second phase after Fate. It gets staggered out.
Again, look at that location we saw from Dridro going towards the left side of that off map. You talked about different locations of the off map being tighter in terms of windows so you cannot react, and found that spot and always commits right there with the It's Jeff.
3 minutes left to go, Shib. VP. They do have a little bit of advantage here in the second phase, but Na'Vi, I mean, they cemented their legacy on this map versus Envy in the very last game of that series at the 6th map against Team Envy. We'll see if they can start this sort of comeback against VP, who are starting to mount that momentum.
Doing it just a little bit quicker here, almost 3 minutes on for this push. Ult advantage going to be roughly even at the current state and out. Ooh, gonna find one as Nevix takes out Jerky. Naga trying to make sure this pick comes through as it gets matched by the invisible boundary now. Out goes that Sia for the damage boost.
There's so many off-map angles you talked about earlier, Shib. Here comes that piece of the miss from Trust Me, trying to chase down the Jeff like a anglerfish sort of almost, but he's the one running from his own sort of cap. There, Naga on the right side able to set up too, but this is what we were talking about earlier. I mean, Na'Vi was able to start a 4-minute hold versus Envy in the second phase of the map too, and if they could do it versus VP too, they would cement themselves as one of the best Spider Islands teams of all time, but VP are going to be charged upon by a freedom charge from Rajaro.
Jaro walking them forward, being aggro with that ultimate. It's something you can do with Cap as Naga gets another pick there, looking very strong here on Namor. Fi is going to hold on here to the Goddess of Death. Sparker does have that whale available, but Naga does. And yeah, both of them on either side. Let's see who gets more successful ultimates here in this next fight.
He's setting up on the right side angle, but both have been slow with it, like you said earlier, Shib. I mean, he does have the BRB advantage. They know that they can use it. Jerky into the sky, and the Goddess of Death forced out. Maybe VP doesn't even want to fight it.
Yeah, it's more so just a defensive utilization there from the side of Jerky, who will not be able to get any pick at the current moment. Is going to drop down now and stay healthy, but was used as a way to stay healthy and not get KO'd. Out goes that freeze from Dridro, does not land. The teams are still trading back and forth, and nobody goes down until, of course, I say it. Sparker and Jerky with a pick there, strategist and a Vanguard. Sparker now on a Rajaro.
You can't feed. That's the number one thing. You can't go in like Rajaro does there. You also can't use the Goddess of Death earlier in VP, showing that they are one of the most veteran teams in this genre just by popping those ults at the right time.
Yeah, Fi does come out on top there with that Goddess of Death. In comparison, we will see potentially a switch up in composition here from Na'Vi. Looks like things are staying the same for the current moment. 3 ults available on both sides. Vincere going to be there to make it 4 for VP. And 30 seconds on, though, is a testament to how Na'Vi does a great job staying on that point, even when they lose fights.
Whoa, see you later. Is it too late to save Jerky? It looks like the answer is yes, but the BRB does bring him back in. Nevix forced off the soft angle. Does he get the healing? Yes, it's there.
Wow.
Also the Dirge to help follow the peel.
Yeah, Saipe did a great job there with focus. Same with Dridro, ensuring that Nevix could escape that, being very low. What a pull there by Nevix, trying to find one. Not going to work as the bird cooldown is out. Trust me, Frozen is going to use that E right prior. Down goes that Feast of the Abyss, chasing. Well, that one land 20 HP. Is going to find a little bit, but not for long, as he's in a very dangerous position. Is going to reset as Sparker now takes out Naga.
Pushed off force physics, but he's here with the freedom charge. 5 finds 2. Can they find any more? I mean, it's just Rajaro to touch. The portal needs to come now because we're only 4.86 meters. Rajaro has to stall forever. Does he have enough healing over the height? The invisible boundary, yes, he does. So they're coming back for that retouch, but Goddess Death isn't here from Jerky. Needs the healing and doesn't have it.
The better ultimate comes through in terms of timing from Dridro. Out goes that whale with the damage boost. Does not let us. Vincere now gonna find Rajaro. Fi gonna find Fade, and that could be it here as they're working through for point 2 and map 2 trying to take this on. Fi again. Sparker level 1 Crook gets one trade, but it will not be for long as they are dwindling. Sparker, Vincere, that could be it, folks. And the hold does not happen. That will do it.
VP are now up to Goddess of Death to just sort of a victory cry for this squad on BP, and they're looking composed. You can see on his face, Vincere flexing a little bit. Maybe gonna whip out his phone, type in Twitch chat, potentially as he normally does. Level 1 Crook on the opposite side. Looking for solutions, man. I mean, the number one thing is, like we talked about earlier, not going down ship, right? They keep losing Rajaro on Captain America. We've seen how good Rajaro is on the media, on Magneto with those media rems, with just living as an anchor hero, but it feels like the weakness of this squad now is sort of showing in full force.
Yeah, they're looking so good here, Virtus Pro. I mean, a great hold on the side of Navi on point 2, making it a one-fight game, but was just won there by the team that has just had no issue maintaining their composure in every single fight.
BP up 2, and this is our very first of 4 too, by the way, if you are wondering. So BP 2 maps away now, Shib, from claiming that trophy behind us on the stage. You can see if I can do that sort of, there it is, it's right there. Yeah, I mean, that trophy looks small to us over here, but on stage, that thing is huge, about the size of me, honestly, if you paid attention.
American Man.
Yeah, American Man, obviously. No, yeah, maybe American Man is, you know, a tiny, you know, little, huge ego, tiny size. Let's take a look, you know, at this desk to talk about that match.
Hello, it's the desk. Great job, you guys. We are going to break down those last 2 maps as we started off with a belter. Virtus Pro starting off incredibly strong, but Navi bringing it back a little bit there.
Oh my goodness, that first round of domination, can we just talk about it? We thought that it would be an even playing field between these two teams, and Virtus Pro, on what we say is their weakest game mode, managed to take the first round of domination so dominantly. They only have Phi in that first round who goes down, who gets the casualty. He goes down twice. Everybody else on the entire team, 0.
It really does feel like it's a switch around for Virtus Pro in these situations, because everything that's looked bad for them across the year, you have to take it into context of like new eSport, playing from home, playing on a stage like this. It could be a whole different story, and I think those experienced players of Nevix and Sparker that have a 10-year history playing hero shooters before they came to Marvel Rivals look almost more comfortable on stage than they do playing at home.
They're legitimately just showing exactly why it was such a travesty. They did not make it to the mid-season finals where they could have played against those international teams and grown. Because just think how strong they could be if that had happened now.
We talk about Virtus Pro as well, failing to adapt into new metas. This is Virtus Pro innovating a new meta. That Daredevil from Phi has been something for a lot of these teams to have to deal with. So too do we get to see the Psylocke ban go out multiple times from both of these sides. But for Virtus Pro, when Sparkler is your second duelist, even if the Psylocke has been removed, he can still play it all.
I think that's the main thing of like now they want to try to put Virtus Pro into a corner, but you just can't do it anymore. That's one of the reasons that Brad almost like leapfrogged over them to go to the mid-season finals, because we saw, for example, Navi try and pull out triple strategist right at the start of that domination game. But I haven't seen Virtus Pro forced onto anything that they aren't comfortable on. I've never seen them play triple strategist at this event so far, because they're just like, this is our bread and butter, we're going to keep eating it.
Yeah, 2-2-2. It works so well for them. They love going for these really aggressive dives, and it means that when it does well, your opponent gets very little opportunity to build up resources to fight back, which is why we see such avalanches of snowball plays on maps like Domination now.
And what a series for several of the players in this matchup. Virtus Pro just taking control. Well, we did see Navi fight back. They got a pretty reasonable push on that second point. Virtus Pro, they just like to brawl on this map. They will delay these fights for as long as possible.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that, whilst we're saying how flexible they are, how adjustable they are, I love that they're anchoring their whole composition around Finzi's Captain America, protecting it very early in the draft, and he is having an in-form performance. He's not really that well known to be the Captain America. Usually Polly takes that award for EMEA, but the fact that so far in playoffs at least, he has been cemented himself in that role, it just lets the whole team sink and play around him.
It shows as well how good these players are at Captain America, because when you look at the actual meta right now with the buffs that just recently went out, Venom, many argue, say, has taken over that dive Vanguard priority with Feast of the Abyss, with the anti-heal, with the survivability that the Venom is able to play around with the higher mobility, to the point where we get to see, you know, Emma shut down Captain America far more frequently than Venom, and it goes to show for Virtus Pro how good their Vanguard players are at understanding these windows, when to go aggressive, but also when to disengage.
A usual Sparker W here, but let's talk about Nevix. 34 KOs in that game, and only just a little bit behind Sparker in terms of damage, while barely going down at all.
It just seems that he is syncing so well, and the best part is every interview that we've done with these two, they're always like, give that look of, so let's basically find out all of your strategies, right? And they're like, okay, we're gonna sort of go about this politically, try not to reveal too much. If there's anything left for Virtus.pro to show for this year, it has to be shown now. It might not even be needed to be shown down, because so far today, it has been completely clinical for them. And whilst Na'Vi do make nice adjustments, I don't know if they have anything left to try to rattle this team.
I mean, the one adjustment that I think we're all in agreement they should make right now is saving that Psylocke, right?
Yeah.
It worked against FlyQuest. If you can manage to secure the one-sided Psylocke, then Virtus.pro have to pay respect to what the Psylocke on this meta can do. They have to go for something that's either going to directly counter it, or they burn ban draft slots on things that would empower it. Going for a first save on the Psylocke would put the pressure up even further.
But where's the juggle there? Where is the priority? Because if you protect that Psylocke, you might potentially be letting your opponents ban out something else that could be extremely important, Ryan.
That's what I'm scared about with Virtus.pro. It seems that like Nevix and EQO, they stay up at 2 a.m. trying to theory craft what kind of like comes. But the thing is about their draft is there is a follow through. There is like, okay, we start here, we end here. It's not, we're gonna start here and then we'll see what happens. I don't know. Oh, they ban Mr. Fantastic. Let's go do this. Like, it feels like they know exactly where they want the draft to go. And since they've started doing that, Virtus.pro in that phase do not look defeatable, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, Na'Vi, they're playing this really aggressive but risky play style, right? We're getting to see Naga go out onto things like that Star-Lord, try to put the pressure onto Virtus.pro, try to be the disruption, that distraction in the backline, which allows the rest of his team space, but he's getting picked for it, he's getting punished, and it almost feels like Virtus.pro are anticipating and baiting that aggression before punishing it, because one of the things that you can do when you're up against a dive composition or a hero who has to hard commit onto those positions is we call it baiting, right? You set something up, you make it look so juicy, so enticing. Oh, woe is me, I'm just a damsel in distress, a lone little strategist against the world. And all of a sudden, when that Starlord goes for the commitment, Virtus.pro's entire team is focusing on that position.
It's just like what we've been talking about with 5 for Virtus.pro. While Sparker's getting a lot of the attention because he's getting those final hits and the flashier plays, Vi's doing the work. It's exactly what we've been seeing here for Na'Vi. While Jerky's getting a lot of the attention, Naga is putting in the work, and it seems like Virtus.pro might be isolating that as a potential target.
It feels like it, yeah. And I think that's a hard job for Naga when you've got one of your, like, your duelist combo with Melio going to another team. Like, you have to bring somebody in, help them acclimatize, and honestly, just make them look good. Just like, here's Jerky. But it does allow more of the focus to go on Jerky, that Naga has the freedom to change to different characters. So a little bit of Jean Grey, for example, where it doesn't feel like it's as strong as it was last stage, but in those moments, certainly when you have lots of practice on it, there's merit to those curveball picks, certainly when it comes to the duelists.
And those duelists have been a lot of the key things. You already talked about the Psylocke potentially getting saved and protected here. What else do you think might be high up in the priority? We've been seeing a lot of Hela, for example.
I was going to say, we've seen a lot of Hela, and I feel like that's another reason why Virtus.pro have been able to acclimatize to this 4.5 meta so much faster in comparison to those that came before, because Vi's Hela has been a staple. We talked about Virtus.pro as a team getting to play together all the way back in Season 0. What was meta back in Season 0? Well, it was Hela. They know exactly how to play to set up Hela on the off angle or with the team core.
Yeah, but I think while Sparker can play like the Psylocke and pivot to Hela, it's a different story for Na'Vi, because your best Hela Nemo player is on the bench. Like, it's Crisis. Like, he is the hit scan. It did feel like Na'Vi had this idea of like, okay, on certain game modes, like Avengers, we want to bring in Crisis. But that's hard when, like, yeah, Crisis, your first game on stage at playoffs is match free of the like, you're never going to do that, right? Even if Crisis goes God mode, it's such an ask for him, and it obviously takes a bit more time to set him up, and it means that the momentum, the chance to play gets a lot worse, right? So we saw Jerky playing Hela, but it did feel more limited than, say, the Psylocke that we saw before.
There are so many options. We've talked about the Psylocke priority. We're still seeing the creep in for the Namor as well with that Hela combo. But why is that Psylocke overtaking it so much?
I mean, the Psylocke is just so strong, both in the neutral, but also with the Dance of the Butterflies now being much more lethal. It used to be before, it would force a resource, and you would just go about your merry way. Sometimes not even that. You would just stack your players up, Now you have to pay attention to it. And I'm telling you what, something that Virtus Pro have to pay attention to is Na'Vi taking us to Hall of Dejalia, because you'll remember this very map was where the series between
Brian, there's trauma.
Virtus Pro completed. This was where Virtus Pro lost their first ever game series.
Yeah, this is where they have to sort of step through it, like Virtus Pro taking a big hit, being full held on this map with the bans out of the strategist, so that's going to be the first one with Mantis being taken out. But also, it is the most picked map for Na'Vi. Undefeated this event, 5-0. If there is a map to save Na'Vi in this best of 7, it has to be this one.
We're seeing the Venom protect. So far, Psylocke for both teams has not been touched, and there it is. Cast a curse on the desk. Virtus Pro going to be taking Jerky off of that assassin.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it isn't an instant save onto the Psylocke, Virtus Pro are going to remove its second and save themselves the Captain America, as they've spotted the space that Finzi is making.
A comparison in terms of dives here. You talked about how the Venom just seems to be taking control of the dive. It's the versions of how you want to play it. Venom, dive with a lot of burst and anti-heal. Captain America, dive with the option to protect your team with essentially another strategist ultimate.
You know what hasn't seen an appearance just yet, though? It's Jeff.
Yeah.
For both of these teams right now, and Hall of Dejalia, especially with Na'Vi getting their hands on Venom, I was going to say, Virtus Pro have their hands tied. They have to ban out Jeff before Na'Vi get an opportunity to save it. Otherwise, one-sided symbiotic shenanigans is just going to be too much pressure to shut down on the walk-up.
It's way too scary, but both teams also banning out Star-Lord in that last map as well to make sure that he wasn't going to be in play, but a one-sided Jeff is going to be in the cards for Virtus Pro, just allowing a bit more pace. And like we said before, like there's so many different ways that you can put Jeff into composition. For Virtus Pro, they just want to sort of play that 2-2-2 divey rush style. It suited them so well. Why wouldn't you change it?
This is not a role sweep, though, in terms of bans. This is not directly targeting one player's hero pool and trying to force them onto something uncomfortable. And I think that speaks volumes for the flexibility of all of these players in the rosters, the flexibility to swap on to something else. As Na'Vi are going to be banning out the Rocket Raccoon because Virtus Pro got their hands on Jeff and could potentially have played an undiveable composition with a 2-2-2 strategist lineup with the Jeff and Rocket.
The Zootopia backline removed from the board here. A Star-Lord will get protected, giving them that aerial assault. And there's the counter rocket being taken out. This map, you do see teams do struggle to retake onto that first point with portals sometimes, so that BRB can get so much value.
Not just that, but Jerky's other hero pool does extend into the Phoenix, so having the Cosmic Amplifier with the Ensong Inferno could have been something that Virtus Pro don't want to deal with, especially because Phoenix has the mobility on the attacking side of Hall of Dejalia to post up to the high ground. But you know what else has the ability to take over that high ground control? It's Hela, and Hela wasn't targeted for either of these teams.
Brian, final thoughts before we head over.
If there's a map for Na'Vi to bring this to a closer best of 7, it has to be the map that broke Virtus Pro in stage 1. Whether it's going to break them here, I don't know.
We'll be finding out if that is the case as we head back over to Iron Ship and Dustin Dogbat to bring us map number 3 of the Grand Finals.
Map 3 of the Grand Finals begins now. Na'Vi known for taking the high side together with those rocket jump packs, but Rocket has been removed. That is some homework done there by VP, not allowing that strategy, give them that early space to take point. VP struggled here in the past. Will they again? Up 2 right now.
VP struggled here sometimes, but are still undefeated here. Na'Vi also kind of struggled here too. I mean, versus 100 Thieves, they almost lost this map. That was a full cap out they did in 6-5 end up score-wise. So Na'Vi is great at this map, but VP's better. And that feels like the story of these two teams. Anything that Na'Vi does, VP seems to do better. Na'Vi trying to rewrite that, however, as they start off with that teleporter on the high ground.
Owning that height now, Na'Vi again, like you said, playing around that health pack in the back. Allows your strategist to patty cake and still have a solution if the damage is a little too much. Saipe in a dangerous spot here. Bai trying to find an angle here on that back line, who's getting pushed right back through here from Nevix, who tries to look forward now to Rajaro. Jerky gets the first pick, though, onto Sparker on the height.
Yeah, that's a good change you want to see from Na'Vi. I mean, even when he was playing the Hella versus even FlyQuest earlier, there were times when Vision Energy was looking really good. So for Jerky, he needs to kind of step it up, play really at a high level, and he's doing so far. Does get the idol. Trust me, on the opposite side, not even having to worry about it, forcing out the Cocoon out of Saipe, which could be impactful later on. But Saipe finds the pick off on the Naga.
Jerky right back, though, onto Nevix. The trades are real here. A Duelist and a Vanguard in the front line. Crook doing a ton of damage as well as that healing, but is going to be a dangerous spot. Great freeze there. The Jeff comes through with an itch Jeff, and Dustfall instantly on the side of Dredro. Sparker going to trade with Jerky, and that's just the nature of this map right now. Back and forth is Vi, and Sparker get another Trust Me onto Vi, but there goes that res from Saipe.
Yes, Saipe to bring back the members of his squad. Na'Vi gets cleaned up afterwards, and they're back to the spawn once more. They got 53% on the board, which is only 1/3 of the ticks that stay alongside your cap rate. So Na'Vi, I mean, they could at least set up themselves for later, but at the moment, I mean, VP have done well with this defense, maybe setting up on the high ground too. It'd be scary for Na'Vi as they walk in. Very aggressive push from Sparker, forcing out the dance floor from level 1 Crook already.
Sparker owning up here with the Galactic Legend, just going to take this space and own this space currently, but that all not getting too much value. Does pull out the dance floor, which is a win at the moment as Rajaro and Fade have ults available. Down goes the Feast that lands with that 30% reduction in healing. Nevix is going to be very low. It does escape, though, at the current moment, able to go back towards that back line and stay healthy. What a retake there as Fi now heavily engages. Ooh, and we see the Devil of Hell's Kitchen looking towards that back line once more. Everybody patty caking there. Bubble gets pulled out. Cooldowns are gone, but they do clean up to take a 2-piece, make it 3 wide out as Nevix and Sparker get 2 apiece.
I mean, VP, I mean, they might be swimming in the domes of Na'Vi with Dredro in Jeff, and I know that their logo is a bear, but at the moment, it does feel like Na'Vi are just kind of conceding fight after fight after fight. I mean, VP goes in aggressively. They set up as well. Nevix lives with the healing from his backline as well as his great movement and use of cooldowns. It just feels like VP's un-KOable right now, and it's because, I mean, Na'Vi need to get some sort of momentum, and they had it earlier with Jerky, but it's been silent since then.
Yeah, using that Venom cooldown in terms of the grapple is usually how they get out, unless you have that ult available with the Feast, because then it'll buy you enough time to get that cooldown back again. Here comes that engagement from Trust Me, who's holding onto that Feast of the Abyss as discussed. Does have the dash back towards the team already. Just getting smoked there in terms of damage. Needs to go back as Finzi now does fall from level 1 Crook with some good damage and gets that headshot.
43 seconds left to go. They found that pick, but what's going to happen? The res is available. Saipe gets dove upon, gets that soul bomb, but it's only onto him, so it doesn't actually do much. Gets deleted immediately. Now here comes Dredro on the high in that dance floor. Gets the invisible moment too. Dredro could be close to the off map, but Jerky saves it with the Ensong Inferno and the damage boost from level 1 Crook, keeping everybody healthy as well as Finzi with the portal will bring people back into this fight. Saipe, however, does get this resurrect with that Karmic Revival, brings them back in.
Yeah, that is a huge res. Portal does come through again from Finzi, who falls as Jerky gets 1. Rajaro as well. Saipe's res brings 5 right back into the fight. Sparker now in the sky here with the Galactic Legend. That's 1 onto Crook. Make it 3 wide out Jew as he's walking them down. Sparker just popping off here and holds before point 1.
I mean, that is brutal. That was a brutal hold. Now, we've seen crazy things, Chip. I mean, in this tournament, Na'Vi is one of those teams that can pull off comebacks when everything's against the wall, right? When everything is going out of the window, right? Plans, strategies flying out. You need to make VP uncomfortable. And if they could at least, you know, get some fight wins here, right? I know that's simple and it's straightforward, but it's one step at a time. They are in a deficit now, and if they were to lose this one as well, that means they go down 3-0, and Sparker in the sky with that Galactic Legend ship just shut down everybody as well to that portal. That is absolutely terrible for the side of Na'Vi just to get shut out last second. Wow. 97%, you're about to cap out, and then that happens? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was as clean as can be right there from Sparker with some good commitment from the team. And that just buys them enough to shut them down just millimeters away from capping that first point. Na'Vi are playing on their heels, and they've got to wake up right now. There is some serious money and title on the line and getting etched into the history books. Time to lock in, everybody, as now VP are looking unstoppable.
They really are. I mean, especially if their Vanguards are looking this good. Both Finzi and Nevix, veterans of the game. Everybody's talking about how old they are, Shib, and how they should go to the retirement home. But at the moment, they're looking to sit on a throne, an Iron Throne, and reclaim Na'Vi's golden crown.
3, 2,
That would be a great way to come into your first LAN here from VP as they're starting up now. Nevix is going to be on that Strange, likely going to do the same strategy. The protection comes through, the portal play will follow up onto that high side near the health pack. Ooh, looking for a crook here potentially.
And they could get on. Look, he's sneaky, right? He's trying to use the Luna Snow passive to get that speed boost and run away, maybe dive away from this portal, and he does so well. So he evades certain demise there initially, and also Jerky back on the back line, takes out 5. That's going to be a big target. They need to track down 5, make sure he's uncomfortable on Daredevil.
Yeah, a lot of value in the distraction that you can have as Rojaro gets 2 now and still is walking down that back line. Make it 3, why don't you there from Rojaro, who is looking clean. Now towards Saipe, who's going to drop back as a unit as Vincere falls here, and very good work here by Navi, looking a lot stronger on this defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good fight win too. Not only that, Chib, long term, right, cooldowns. Usually there's really strong abilities in this game. Regen Domain, Soul Bond, passive from the Adam Warlock to stay alive with that cocoon. And with that removed in the previous fight because Saipe just used it, that could be big because Saipe usually would set that up with that resurrection, can resurrect, then go down and then res his team while in that sort of ghost form. At the current moment, he's not going to have that passive. That's going to be something to note later.
Sometimes what happens here is when you get that defend, you hold them on point 1, you become a little bit complacent. Nevix in a dangerous spot is going to be able to escape there. Good utilization again of those cooldowns as you had discussed prior. But as I was saying before, when you get a little complacent, when you think you just have to get this first point, and you maybe overcommit ultimates, and it kind of makes you slack a little bit. As Jerky going to find 1 onto Nevix, but Sparker back onto Naga to trade as the numbers are evened out once more in this fight. On the high side again, Sparker looking for more, and this could be a huge ult as it does take down Fate, with the portal's going to likely need to come back as out goes the dance floor to match it right back, but maybe just a little bit too late. And Sung Inferno potentially with damage boost coming in here in a moment, and the Itch Jeff is under. This is the counter play as it's down in that garage.
Yeah, I mean, they melt him in the sky. Jerky trying to find him now. They're missing a member of their squad. They have to get him back from the spawn with that portal, like you said, but also they're walking back on him. Quick off the map by Dridro. He got the eat in the back line. Vincere falls to 1 HP. Eventually falls to Trust Me, though, with the portal coming back in. Here comes Navi, but they're missing the most of their team. Saipe reses back Vincere. 5 finds Naga as well as everybody's here touching the point, but they don't have the portal now because they used it earlier from Naga. Rojaro has to stall things out. They're switching to Spider-Man of all things because it's desperation hour for Navi. VP get a tick ship. Could they get potentially more? Jerky gets away from the fight for now, but Navi, they're so far away from the point. That's 2 ticks given. We're right at the very end. All they need is 97.33%, and they're here to touch.
Touch comes through, but it's now going to be in a dangerous spot as the numbers are dwindling. And again, Trust Me gets in there. Jerky falls there on that Spider-Man. Rojaro goes down too. Slowly they are going down as Naga falls, and that could be it here as Sparker's dancing in that garage towards the back line. Still going to be able to stall for a moment. Navi somehow still has bodies on. Nevix onto Fate. Level 1 Crook goes down, and that will do it for 3 consecutive maps.
Navi, the former champs in mid-season, today versus Virtus Pro, could be shut out 4-0. VP on the stage, obviously looking all happy, comfortable, right? They weren't really pushed to the limit on that map, and they are now 3-0. Dejected is Rojaro on the opposite side. Navi, dude, this is going to be tough to come back now, and you can see slowly removing his headset. We talked to Trust Me in the hallway back there, dude. Like, he was saying, man, this team is so hard to solve in VP, and you're seeing exactly why. 3-0 right now. If they just close on this last one, they're the champions of the grand finals.
Yeah, if you look at VP's camps, they're just so calm, cool, and collected. No over-emotion, just staying locked in on what they need to get done, and they are looking like they're going to get it done. Navi needs to shake something up here. They need to change up what they're doing completely, because at the current moment, they are just getting walked down at all these maps.
Huge win there from VP, and now taking a look at Navi. If you're a fan of this squad and you want them to reverse sweep Shib, you're going to have to get loud. You're going to have to get a little bit nasty with it, because that's what I say is, you know, competition does get aggressive, right? Yep. You gotta show some energy, right? And Navi have shown none. They need some help from the crowd if they want to come back. VP, however, on the opposite side are sitting comfortable, right? They need to feel some sort of pressure, and that map, next map, that is going to be huge for them. Shib, Navi, that is.
Yeah, and the other crazy thing is that they're going to have to bounce back on a domination where they have never dropped a single dom from the side of VP. So Navi's got to really shake things up. You got to come in with a surprise and try to throw this team for a loop, because at the current moment, undefeated in domination. Let's see if they are able to do what we always say from Navi, and that is figure things out.
Yeah, Na'Vi, we started off with Jerky finding some momentum, finding some pickoffs on the attacking side, but getting first held on Hall of the Jolly also doesn't necessarily happen like all that often, Shiv. This feels like a map that eventually get overwhelmed. The spawns are so far away, but the portal timings were just not there for the side of Na'Vi. I mean, Naga using it earlier. Maybe, you know, a little bit of that pressure. Jerky, the new member of this team, sort of feeling it. Same thing with the rest of Na'Vi. I mean, they saw it mid-season in Guangzhou, China, you know, that they had a bit of that sort of momentum. They were able to get wins versus teams that maybe weren't as strong. But now every team is on a high level. Shit, we saw Chopper Mag out early in that top 6, and then today, I mean, VP looked to be that #1 team to beat because nobody's really made them sweat except Na'Vi, and now Na'Vi are struggling hard.
Yeah, these early Psylocke bans are clearly working out. I mean, in the past, we look over at Jerky, who's been MVP a multitude of times there on that Psylocke, but getting rid of that has forced out some different picks, just made it a little more tricky for them to find a solution.
Hey, that's a great point. Behind the scenes, we're talking to Crimzo and also our observing team, both of them pointing out how Psylocke has been a problem for the for FlyQuest, and now today, them removing that as well. So, I mean, Psylocke is still a problem, like you said, or it still was a problem, and you can see what happens when you ban it like you called out.
Yeah, just looking at some of these stat lines here, I mean, that is a ton of healing on both sides, but look at those KD ratios. Sparker with a 7.3 with 12 finals, leading the entirety of the map. Jerky with 7, but just not going to be able to match the power that is Sparker, who is starting to answer that debate of who is the best duelist.
Yeah, it might be him. I mean, everybody's talking about it. He didn't have a chance to prove it because of the midseason, but you can always say VP, you know, if they had that third slot, they could have been there. We saw Envy, what they did with the third slot, right? Grand finals in that appearance at midseason. Now out of the tournament early, we saw North America sort of disappointing us, but they still, 2 teams in North America making top 4, 2 teams at the top side. Let's take a look at the, I believe Cozy's actually ready to go with us on the other side.
What's up, Dog Man? What's up, Shiv? Hey, VP looking all that dumb, and I'm live here in Atlanta with an awesome crowd over here. We got cosplayers, voice actors, players. We are here in Atlanta, and I want to find out about Rivals Reach, my friend. And I've got Ruben here, correct? Ruben, where are you from?
I'm from Delaware.
Delaware. Now, why come all the way to Atlanta to DreamHack for this moment?
I'm a big fighting game guy. And my homie over here, he's the #1 Hawkeye in the world. So, he told me to come down and participate and have some fun.
Love to hear it. Hey, VP versus Na'Vi. VP up 3, so this could be a layup, but who's going to get it?
I'm going to go with Na'Vi here.
The reverse sweep, people! Love to see it. He would continue to find where people are reigning from. Let's go with you. Okay, I've been seeing you all week. You have different sides, different hits. First of all, what's your name, sir?
My name is Julian or Slamtaro.
Julian or Slamtaro. Now, today's the perfect Marvel Rivals meta tier list. The other day, I saw the best voice lines in the game. Love what you brought here. Now, are you from Atlanta?
No, I'm actually from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay, all the way from LV, the desert over there a little bit. Now, tell me, why come all the way here to Ignite in the grand final?
To watch some God gamers and some goated aimers.
God gamers and goated aimers. That's exactly what I'm going to hear, man. I'm glad you're here, and I'd love the side, love the show. Let's continue this thing on and see who else we can find in this crowd here. I'm going to go with this guy right here, my friend. What's your name? Where are you from?
Brian Puspos. I'm from Houston, Texas, but I came from LA.
Okay, from LA, California. Why come here? Over to DreamHack. Why are you here?
For the vibes, man. This game is shit, bro. So
No, man. Speak it like it is, man. Do you have a main? Hit me with your main. Who you play?
I'm a strange main.
Yeah, I have Agamotto, my friend. Well, I appreciate you coming down. And listen, we've got an awesome crowd here from all over. They've been keeping it up all day long here. We see it in the front and all around, and that's what we want to see again in the very first LAN in America. My friends, it's the grand finals. It's 3-0 VP, Na'Vi. Who will win? We will find out here shortly.
Thank you, Cozy. Thank you, Crown, for your amazing participation. And that was kind of hilarious. You know, we come in, Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, get some crowd, get some cheers going on here at DreamHack. I know. Why would you come with Delaware, man? You could have lied. You could have said Atlanta. yeah, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from Delaware, by the way. But that's hilarious. We also have a sub coming in just a second. As, by the way, in that crowd, we saw some of the Citadel players in that front right. I believe we have a ton of players watching these games. We do have a sub on the backside angles. We take a look at Saipe earlier on. Obviously, still back in the game yet again. We'll have to take a look at what that is, because that's going to change a lot of things, Shib. And you know, it is a lot of fun, though, to see all these players in the crowd, as well as the Citadel guys. I just wanted to, real quick, take a moment to say something about Citadel, because they're here, and so are a lot of our fantastic players who are around and also stream on their own channels and are also participating in DreamHack to a very fun level, right? Kind of come checking around all the stuff, even if they're out early. And I know that Citadel, I think, is getting a lot of flack for talking a lot of trash on social media and stuff, and maybe on the main stage. But honestly, that's a part of the game, right, Shib? It's
gotta have a villain.
Gotta have a villain, and it's fun. And it's not necessarily that they're the villain of this game necessarily, but you know, it takes guts to kind of come out here and talk and, you know, be yourself on a main stage with the camera pointing at you. And as young as all these guys are, shout out to the Citadel guys, honestly. I have huge respect for them, but they are not competing for this trophy. Talking about trash talk, Shib, that's these two players, these two teams on the stage right now.
Yeah, it's all about having a little mixture of positivity, and, you know, you got to have the, you know, shout out to sportsmanship as well, as they are in the audience. And here is our change as Naga goes out and Crisis comes in. We talked about needing to shake things up, and this could be just that. Na'Vi with that change as we head over to Domination.
That's the halftime desk report we had from both Moxie, Ryan, and Tetra, all three of them. They mentioned Crisis being the hit scan specialist, and as you called out, so lovely call-outs. The timing could not be better. He's being subbed in into the map 4. That's scary. I don't think we've seen this much out of this team. To make a sub like this shows me a little bit of panic. All right, I mean, it's nice to see a hit scan guy come in, but now I'm sure on the opposite side, you're like, okay, we can go for specific bans.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one way to take it, but my personal take is they needed something. Going down like this, especially after being first held, like everything in terms of the mental right now is likely at its lowest. Your back is against the wall. You need to find a solution or change something up that's going to hopefully just shake up your opposition, and I think this could be that, but we'll find out shortly.
Yep, and Na'Vi, we talked about them, right? This roster is starting to build their legacy of their own, and then if they were to lose this, that could rip that legacy out of their hands, right? We were talking about how good Na'Vi was at the international level. Sometimes in esports, we could talk about Crisis here coming in for Team Na'Vi. He has been here regardless. Let's go listen to that discussion earlier about Crisis on Team Na'Vi on that desk.
Oh, sorry. Get Crisis in.
Okay, Crisis is coming in.
Just get him in.
Yeah, get him in, get him in.
For who though? I don't mind. I don't mind.
Who wants to go out?
I think
it's up to you
we should
guys.
get Crisis in for
It's up to our DPS. I want you guys to make the decision.
No, you can go for it. Are you sure? Yeah, of course. So fine for it.
Guys,
I love you, bro.
Guys, let's go backstage. Let's go backstage.
That was awesome to see, and that is a sign of a team that has just built a friendship, a team that has a title already and is willing to fall on the sword there. Naga, what an absolute champion.
Yeah, I mean, the stories that are being told at this event are unmatched, and you could see, you know, just in those comms, right? They just believe in each other. Like, let's give this guy, you know, his shot on the main stage. Let's see what he can give us, right? Can he give us some juice? Naga being, you know, falling on the sword almost, right? Kind of it's honorable, right? Yeah. To kind of sub yourself out, be like, oh, do you want to go jerky? I'll go, you know, because they know VP is a really good team. Give everybody the shot that they deserve on this main stage because everybody puts in work, even substitutes like Crisis. He's been here the entire time, right? Just kind of helping the team out behind the scenes as well as being subbed in, I'm sure, sometimes. So a huge shout out to the squad, and putting aside your ego to play as a cohesive unit is what matters most in Marvel Rivals, because you know, Shib, there's so many egotistical people in ranked. That's also the same thing at this professional level, but both of these squads, both VP and Na'Vi, have shown nothing but respect this whole tournament, and you can see in their play that that respect is definitely perpetuated throughout their entire roster.
Yeah, continuing that conversation about Na'Vi, they've always been the team that when they had a bad map, they owned it. There was no other excuses besides, hey, we did not play great right there. We need to bounce back again. And that is exactly what they're saying as they're falling on the sword, like you said, and saying, hey, let's switch this up together as we start off potentially our final matchup here with Virtus Pro and Na'Vi. Backs against the wall. Can they get the first W in terms of domination against the pros?
And this could be the last draft we see out of Na'Vi, at least for a little while, as this is the grand finals, the very last tournament of the year for us, at least at the highest level of this game in S tier. We have both Mantuses removed, VP going for that ban, but it's the last draft phase. Yep, make some noise for these two up on the stage as both coaches deciding and helping out their squads behind the scene.
Goodbye to that Psylocke again. Obviously very targeted there to Jerky, who's looked so strong on that hero. I have no doubt we might see that match right back from the side of Na'Vi, but at the current moment, there is going to be a new player in, and that could change things up.
And they still have to respect Jerky, right? That's the number one thing VP's focused on. The big thing, the big question mark is Crisis, right? How can Crisis play coming into it? Because he's probably not going to get target banned. VP, they have no reason to fully change up their strategy just yet. Maybe if they lose a map, but, you know, that spark, that potential map win could set up Na'Vi for a reverse sweep and change up the bans.
Yeah, and if the teams have done their homework, you can't really study someone who you haven't had eyes on completely. Granted, you may see something in scrims, but at least not in this tournament, which I'm sure they've had eyes on every single matchup to try to find a way around or find a way through the side of Na'Vi.
They go for the Star-Lord ban on the opposite side to slow down VP if they have that, as well as they got the Psylocke ban coming out as well. And right now the Jeff is still making it through. We've seen how good Dredro is. He gets that mismatch. Meanwhile for Na'Vi, they're fine with it. Invisible Woman protect. Meanwhile coming out from VP's angle, keeping on to that hero. We'll see what Na'Vi want to ban against it. It's that last ban that they have, and the last protect that VP does in a moment, as they still have a few seconds to decide that ban.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure what we need to see here from Na'Vi, because both of these teams have such a deep hero ocean that, getting rid of that rocket. I think that's another good idea. That's something we've seen throughout this tournament that's worked. You get rid of the damage boost options there, besides something like Terror Cloak from Cloak and Dagger, and then that reduces the amount of ultimates the enemies will have, because that damage boost does give them some serious juice in terms of getting that ult charge quickly.
Yeah, Rocket is really good, but not against what VP have been doing, right? They go with that Venom cap, they constantly surround, and they're going to find your BRB, no matter how good you are with that Rocket Raccoon. So already VP setting themselves up for success, noticing that's the matchup they're going to get. They actually ban out the Hella. There it is, that target ban for Crisis. He smiles, he said, what are you doing, guys? I one-tricked that hero in ranked.
As there is going to be the switch up now. Likely we'll see another. There's some hit scan on the table here. We'll see what Crisis ends up running in this moment, but it's funny to see that reaction there. So they did do their homework and they knew where that was going to go.
And that trophy is one map away for VP to claim it, Shib. Na'Vi, if they want to start this reverse sweep, it's going to be a huge mountain to climb. Subbing in Crisis, getting his character banned. And now they have 3 maps to crawl back from just to tie it up. And Shib, they need to ignite the battle right now, at least on their end, for Na'Vi to reverse sweep. Make some noise if you want Na'Vi to win. And on the opposite side, if you're a Virtus Pro fan looking to close it out here on this 4th map.
Heading into Burnin' T'Challa. Sub is in. Is that enough? Ban phase shook up a little bit, but not as much as maybe you'd like to see, but they know the strengths of Virtus Pro, and they just cannot ban all of their strengths. There's just a little bit too much at the current moment, and we will begin shortly.
And I love this map to end it on too. I mean, it's just such a good map for, you know, showing so many diverse angles. The Hella would have done well if they had it, but now we started out. Bucky, by the way, not touched. It was played a little bit more earlier on, but looks like Na'Vi really kind of ignoring it for now. Meanwhile, for Virtus Pro's side, with the Mantis bans at least, trying to play away from it, setting up for that full dive again. Need to see a little bit more of Rojaro on this map.
And the fight begins. Jerky there is going to also be playing on that hit scan on the right side, as we can look over in Crisis on the Star-Lord, which also has that hit scan. Finzi early on to a level 1 Crook, and again, Finzi's looking very strong on this cap, so aggro. Sparker gonna find one. Finzi again, Vi onto Rojaro. Everybody going down here, and VP cannot be stopped.
Jerky switching over to the Bucky now. It makes sense. They want to try to play that counter. No, it goes back over to the Phoenix, and yeah, okay, Crisis is going to play the Bucky, and Jerky's going over the Star-Lord. They're looking for answers right now, and they have to quick. I mean, if you give up a round and figure out the answer, that's fine, but Ultimate's already built for VP, and how do you even deal with this team when Fi is playing at that level, and so is the rest of the squad on Daredevil in these dives to set him up?
Yeah, those early switches are either a testament to a team that knows a solution or a team that says we need to find something and something quick. We can't give them any more percentage on point. 25% and climbing here for VP, and they're just maintaining pressure, just standing on it with no care in the world. Trust me, on that Venom, already popping that E. Crisis gonna find a pick there on a Finzi to try to shut down that cap, but Fi is already on the backline. Good movement there to stay up in the sky from the side of Fate. Level 1 Crook now with a pick, trying to get this point taken over, but it's already at 42% and climbing, and they're still gonna maintain presence here in terms of VP on point.
And this is so hard for Crisis to come in cold, but no, he is not. That means Ridru gets shut down. That's 2 in the fight for Crisis, and on the point, they're here. He gets the reset in the side bay, and Song Inferno comes in, but he comes back down to shut down Vincere, taking a 4K, and the rest of the team is on this point to clean everything up. Na'Vi, maybe that's that spark they needed.
Crisis says, put me in, coach. Let me show you what I'm made of. As 4 go down there, and the whole team needs to reset. Na'Vi holding on to ultimate advantage here too, but 65% from VP. Not quite that 70 number that you're typically looking for a one-fight situation. So we will see if that was enough for them to take this first point.
Let's see if Fi really is that guy on Hella. He has been so far, he's been able to match, but right now they get engaged on by Na'Vi.
Fi goes low there. Sparker takes the height, burns those cooldowns, and is going to find a little bit of damage, but nobody falls just yet as Rajaro now walks backwards, keeping the team up in that fight with that Freedom Charge, and all still available and up here for Na'Vi, who are just going to stall and play slow. 1 goes down there from Fi, taking out Crisis, turning that right back in their favor. There goes that Feast of the Abyss, too, from Nevix, but that one does not seem to land in terms of enough damage for a pick. Out goes the Galactic Legend. Rajaro going to clean that up onto Fi, and numbers back towards them on this fight. Everybody stacking together to confuse the Star-Lord ultimate, but trust me, gonna be taking out Dreedro. Vincere finds one. Nevix now on a trust me, and they're heading right back to that point.
You got to see you later. If you want to use it here, you pop it towards that point, but the target focus is gonna happen to it. They're alive for a little bit longer. Stalling it out, though, is Na'Vi.
Yeah, that's their goal here. They just want to maintain presence on the point. They can't get through there in time as Rajaro does commit that portal still as it was already started. Cooldown begins as soon as you press that F button. Out goes the whale from downtown, lands on no one at the moment. Fi on the high side. Crisis goes down. Jerky takes out Vincere. Alt available here for Fi, who likely going to wait until it is necessary as the point is in their favor.
Yeah, and they just lost Crisis, who had Crack and Impact. They don't have any other ults ready. I mean, you're coming close to that ultimate out of Trust Me, but Fi staying alive has been huge so far. You don't have to hit all the shots. You just have to play the character to a good enough level. Dives come in from Trust Me on the backside. Crack and Impact will make its way back, but the strategist ults are coming up soon for VP.
Looking at that cam, calm, cool, and collected. Just another day at work here for the side of VP. They're looking so strong. Out goes the dance floor here. Made of both worlds matched. 1 goes down on the side of Fi, as that was an early Crisis now on a Vincere. Can they turn this again? That's a 2-piece. Do I see a reset? I do! Crisis back to back is flying here with a Crack and Impact.
Ooh, this could build something for Na'Vi. A house not made of dirt. This is an MC. Meanwhile, they're staying in the main angle. Na'Vi haven't had to use much besides that dance floor. However, that does set up VP with double strategist ultimate. Same thing with that cap. Nevix actually switches to the Angela. They want to set up for maybe even a 1-5 territory situation, but Na'Vi 20% away from capping this out. Not VP as well. Last 5 territories for both teams, round number 1.
Alt advantage for Na'Vi, the best they have looked yet. Out goes that Feast of the Abyss from Trust Me. Does not land on a Fi, which was the intended target with that damage boost. Instead, they are going to still find one from level 1. Crook in the backside, taking out Vincere. Will this be enough as it's 90 and counting? 93 up as Jerky looking now. Out goes that Goddess of Death. Sparker in a dangerous spot, trying to get followed on, and it does take out Sparker. Fi going to find Crisis on point, though, and OT has begun.
He reads it. He reads it. He's going to find the Hella out after, but they both have the idol. Neither are really eliminatable in this situation. Fi goes to touch, and he goes down.
That's our early pick again. That's necessary as Rajaro takes out Vincere, and OT goes down. And Na'Vi are looking the best they have looked yet.
Summoning Crisis. Naga sacrificing himself. You can see a little bit of love shown by our audience, and I mean, Na'Vi, if they can start to bring this back, it seems to be both these teams are really good on basically every map. So there's not necessarily a huge advantage that VP have over Na'Vi, and it's the same thing. The advantage is Crisis is now in, and you have a backline as good as Fate and level 1 Crook have been too. Sparker on the opposite side, looking a little bit worried. I mean, honestly, for Fi there, he didn't show up. It was a tough map for him. He just missed a few shots, but that's what happens when you're so practiced on Hella. When you're playing on a low DPI, a low sensitivity, like Crisis I'm sure is, you can pop off in that character an absolute diff, an insane player in Fi on that hero.
Yeah, and you see here Crisis 7 finals coming in. I want the ball, coach, and looking so strong here. 15-3, Jerky 17-1, and in an entirety of VP looking like how Na'Vi's looked these last few games.
What would that saying be for esports players? I want the ball, coach. I want to plug in my keyboard, coach. I don't know.
I want the mouse, coach.
I want the mouse. It's wireless, but give me a cord. I'll do something with it for sure.
Oh, as we start again. Map 2 here. This is typically a very strong Jeff and off-map location. Na'Vi does have that combo, that damage boost from Rocket available with the Feast of the Abyss coming up in one of these fights soon. I have Agamotto available for Rajaro, who does not want to switch until that is committed. But there's a lot of answers here for VP.
Right now, I mean, they're constantly surrounding Freedom Charge committed by VP, saying gold. Na'Vi, though, in the main side, lose Crisis. That's a huge pick by Sparker. Also had the Whale to follow it up on the back angle. Fi also finds Rajaro as Crisis is brought back by the BRB. Crisis finds Sparker.
Numbers are even right now. Rajaro still has that eye committed, level 1 Crook. Going to start with the dance floor. Nobody has point yet. Crisis looking for a pull on the back line. Fi almost gets grabbed there, but good understanding of full distance. Commitment comes through from Crisis. Well, this one land does. Do I see 2 Crisis? Yes, I do. Built different here with his Kraken impact. An absolute monster on the Bucky is going to retake the point again. Well played, Na'Vi.
Momentum is being built by Na'Vi. You might be a little sweaty as VP, but right now you still have a 3-map advantage. You have a cushion, and you talked about complacency. That could be eating at you if you're VP, but we've seen even a map get taken and reverse sweep not stop. The fire, the ignition put out. Can Na'Vi actually start that fire up, get it growing into a roaring blaze?
Again is all they're hearing right now in their nightmares. Fi on the high side here, looking downward. Now it's all about stalling here for Na'Vi, which they do incredibly well. Huge commitment there by Nevix with the retribution on the backline, and it is going to find 1, make it 2 as Fate goes down there. Good start on the fight there for VP. The rest goes through, good freeze, but immediately awoken in that moment. Very low from the Galactic Legend up in the sky. Fi finds Trust Me. I have Agamotto committed, but that one does not seem to work out too well as Sparker takes Crisis and Crook goes down.
What a cancel by Fi. He hit him with the stone on Hella. A huge place by him. So shuts down the Eye of Agamotto. It might have not happened anyway because, I mean, you're down 2 players on your team. The res came out. Nice kind of hero plays by Crook, but regardless, VP set themselves up. They shut down Jerky with that Galactic Legend. Jerky's been really good on the Star-Lord so far. That adjustment to him playing it has enabled them, and also forcing the Hella ban towards the end could set them up long term, but we'll see what happens as Na'Vi only got 46% on the board.
And Rajaro able to get over on that cap is definitely going to work out. Kind of locked in there to Strange in a comp that wasn't favorable for Strange, so that will enable them to play a little more aggro onto that strat line in the back line. Saipei with some good positioning. It's Fi finds one early on a Rajaro. Bang, coming in here with a feast. Does land on 1 onto Dredro. Gets some really strong pocket. Not a huge play there, but a good idea as Crisis tries to find 1. Does find another, and is really showing up here as the sub. Can we see another pick? No, we don't right now. Up in the sky we go. Freedom Charge out. Crisis keeping the damage out. Does have that impact once more. Will we hear again as Sparker is going to find Trust Me early on?
Yeah, I mean, Sparker's the only one getting eliminations again, but here comes that Kraken impact. Finds 1. The BRB also brings back his teammate. Can he find any more afterwards? Comes back to fall away from the damage that's coming from Na'Vi in a moment with the Goddess of Death. Eventually pokes him out of that as well, but you're missing 1 on the side of VP. Sparker has to switch to the Doctor Strange to come back with the portal. Fate has to see you later, though, as everybody from VP is here on the point.
Looking so strong here. Crisis still maintaining the space, and the point is almost transitioned over to Na'Vi. It is now 70% there for VP. And the portal comes through from Sparker here, which may be a huge win from Na'Vi towards the end of this map, as they will not be able to touch.
Yeah, and they don't have any ultimates. Last time, Nevix did connect with a huge Heaven's Retribution where you had the follow-up from the Dirge out of Sparker on that Namor. The team-up has been big with the Hella to keep that sort of kind of momentum going forward for VP.
Yeah, Crisis is looking like a secret weapon right now at this current state, looking incredibly strong. Jerky going to commit here with that Blast of Barrage. Does have ult available. Match right back as Crisis gets another pick onto Dredro, and that is becoming a common saying right now in this game. 79% here for Na'Vi, already building towards that ultimate. Jerky gonna find 1. Trust Me, and Rajaro is able to take out Sparker, and that is gonna be another early fight there and a win on the side of Na'Vi.
And I love this. Na'Vi's at least refocused right now. No portal play either. Nevix has to touch, but they're about to get a map win. I mean, it's going to be really hard for VP to set up, especially without Nevix. He had the ult ready to go. I mean, they're going to get a touch now on Finzy's side, but Na'Vi's here in overtime cleaning them up.
This could be the first win here and the takedown of VP on Dom, and maybe that shifts momentum, and it is driven on the back of Crisis. It is done. What a play.
Uh-oh, where is VP gonna take Na'Vi after this map? We, though, are gonna go to the desk in just a bit, but what a map that was and a huge win for Na'Vi.
Wow, I gotta say it again, Crisis. Way to ask for the mouse there and come in and looking clean. Level 1 Crook with some good plays as well. The whole team looked solid. As we see just the happiness on cam. And you see a little change in expression from the side of VP.
Yeah.
That is what you were looking for. So calm, composed. Now maybe you have entered into the brain a little bit, starting to affect the way they play.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have to think about some stuff. VP probably not expecting to lose that map, but nobody did. Tough one out of them, and a big one, like you said, at a Crisis coming in as the sub. Has been a long time sub with this squad, but Jerky, the new player, taking a picture with him. And, you know, obviously we got to shout out Naga, who he is the face of this team, one of the faces of the squad, was the flexible player to play Phoenix in that mid-season. I mean, he's behind the scenes watching his team, because at this point you can only hope and pray as a substitute, and especially if you're a Na'Vi fan, that's what you're doing. Na'Vi, could they have started this reverse sweep?
Yeah, shout out to Naga. You know, being willing to jump out there and give the spot over to Crisis and saying, I love you, bro. Let me just jump out for you and see what happens. But more of that analysis will be broken down here by the analyst desk.
What do you do in a crisis, guys? What an incredible turnaround. Naga stepping out, realizing that what the team need right now is a crisis manager.
I mean, Na'Vi have talked about it as well behind the scenes. They said Crisis, despite not getting the playtime, he still shows up to scrims, he still puts the work in, he's still there with the team every single step of the way, and we're getting to see where that hard work has left him.
Yeah.
He's able to come on through, swaps on through, gets his staple hero banned out, by the way. Hella was removed from play. He gets the Bucky, the sort of commiseration prize, and I feel like for Na'Vi, that just unlocked this sort of immediate damage boost.
Right, yeah, I mean, looking back at it, really, it's going all the way to MRC Stage 3. We've got Crisis playing on a team called Phased. Along Layerless, there was a really nice duelist line. And then 2 months later, you get picked up by Na'Vi, you get subbed in the grand final of the grand finals, and you just start shitting on Virtus Pro. That is the kind of performance. Who is able to do that? It's like an anime opening. The story couldn't be better set for him, but the problem here now for Na'Vi is that Virtus Pro, they have the choice of all of the maps if this best of 7 starts to go the distance. So they do get to pick and choose where they want this to go, and they know whether Crisis is going to be in or out with the server, and they can plan the draft around that now.
Well, not all the maps, right? And that's a problem when you're playing a best of 7, because the later on you go, the less map choice there actually is. You are going to slowly start running out of maps. And I think for Virtus Pro, it's a big sigh of relief that Holo Dejalia is done and behind them.
Yeah. They avoided the trauma and they actually came out ahead in that, because the fact is, Na'Vi, they are still in this, but Virtus Pro only have to win one more time, whereas Na'Vi, they still have to repeat that effort 3 more times in order to take us to the full best of 7. Here's the reaction to Na'Vi taking that, and it's not as exciting as you might have thought, getting yourself back into a series. They are so focused right now.
They have to pace themselves, that's the major thing. And I think, like, throughout the tournament, it was weird because we heard teams talking about, like, Envy having 7 players. People talking about Citadel going, I hope that they don't sub Pokey in, because it's such a curveball. How do you prepare when you've got these kind of adjustments being made? So Virtus Pro, they need to sort of adjust to a Na'Vi that, frankly, with these kind of, like, setup, we've seen Crisis maybe 3 times total in EMEA Stage 2, and then once here. It's just such a bizarre situation to bring in this player, but the meta suits it, and it forced Virtus Pro to play Hella Nemo, which I don't think I've ever seen him play outside of like spittings here or there.
I mean, it also meant that the Rocket BRB was coming in absolutely clutch, right? Because Virtus Pro, just like every professional team at this level, they're ult tracking, they're reading when the Winter Soldier is approaching the Kraken Impact, they're applying more pressure onto him, looking to find the elimination. Twice we got to see the Horn of Proteus being called on through from Virtus Pro's end to set up an elimination onto Crisis, and twice the Rocket BRB brings him back for the Kraken Impact to bring the hammer down.
Is it worth potentially looking at Phoenix in the situation? We saw a lot of focus onto bans on stuff like you say, the Hella, but the Phoenix has been picked up fairly often to help deal with that Rocket.
I don't know how I feel about the Phoenix. I think it works in certain situations, right? When players are being stacked, then you still get all of the advantage of the stuns, and on Heart of Heaven especially because of all of those different angles, in particular that really aggressive forward hold high ground, right? That we see, you know, Energy take as a staple ground for the Phoenix, but at the same time you also don't have that same level of pressure that you did previously, and the Psylocke, the Star-Lord and the Winter Soldier I think are all more feasible options that apply more pressure because they don't have ultimates that can just be burned out of the sky.
It's like secondary, tertiary reaction choices really, so it's very niche to go for it. But I do want to talk about like map choices now, because Virtus Pro have not been in this situation much where they've like had to choose a map. I feel like because they've got Convoy up up and they've got convergence again because we have seen all of the game modes play out. Midtown seems the most likely, right? Virtus.pro like to take us there.
Yeah, I feel as well like we're going to be seeing some adaptations come through in the draft stages, because one of the reasons why we saw Virtus.pro being forced onto the Hela and the Namor, they tried the Phoenix, it didn't work out great for them, was because it wasn't just a Psylocke that was target banned out, it was the Star-Lord 2. So 2 heroes that Sparker could potentially have flexed over to were taken out of play, and it went to this reliance of Phi on the Hela. How do you set up a Hela? You play something that can play an off angle and put more pressure so that the Hela has less on her.
Let's have a look at some teams versus team stats here to see what we are up to in this series so far. You mentioned the Psylocks, it's starting to become synonymous for me here, have shown so much here, but look at this. In map 4, Na'Vi creeping ahead of Virtus.pro in essentially every single stat except for final hits. Virtus.pro are still seemingly taking a lot of these fights.
Well, that means as well, when you're doing more damage than your opponent, but you're actually being outnumbered in terms of overall final hits, sometimes these teams, they'll bait. They'll allow their players to take more damage. We call it batterying, actually. You battery a strategist ultimate so that you know when the aggressive ultimate comes on through from the other side, you've got the strategist ultimate to be able to fall back onto. It also means that we're getting damage coming on through, but Na'Vi aren't being given the opportunity, the space to follow up on the damage. Even when they get these players low enough, Virtus.pro are still able to either position into line of sight of their strategists or go more aggressive to prevent the follow-through.
I think it shows two things. First of all, efficacy with like the picks that Na'Vi's getting. They're getting less, but they're getting more with objectives being able to take the point and stuff. But also, just a case of they didn't hear a bell. They're four players down. They're able to scrap out fights. There was a really poor portal that came out from Phi as well. You know, those kind of like long-term positions in that like final map on that second point. It's mistakes that we do not see Virtus.pro make all that often. This is the kind of situation where they might start to go, oh yeah, these guys are in our heads. They're living in our heads constantly. And that's because Na'Vi can make these adjustments. They just have no lifelines left. Speaking
about adjustments, we have to give huge props to this team because they adjusted from being full held. They decided to take Virtus.pro onto Hall of Deja for, like you said, that trauma callback response. They had a game plan. They were trying to put into play things like the Hela composition. The ban draft did not favor them. Let's be honest, both the Adam, the Jeff, and the Venom all were able to make it on through. So Virtus.pro had both aggressive but also defensive capabilities. Some of these teams, if you get full held, that gets into your head. You go into the next match, you're going to struggle. They decided to take us to domination, where, as we talk about, first fight on domination is so important. They had to immediately be able to go for the mental reset, and they pulled it off.
And Virtus.pro haven't lost on it up until now.
Yeah.
So this is where things could get a little bit spicy and a little bit crazy.
And you're talking about spicy, we are heading to one of the maps where full holds have been possible in the past. Our next map is going to be Midtown, Ryan. That's where we're heading. We have seen runs end here so often where teams can get full holds on that first point, and often that basement, the underground into the basement of the Fisk building, has been as well a tournament ender for Virtus.pro in stage 1. That is the map where they lost out on that spot to Citadel Gaming.
Whilst this isn't a best of 5, it is a map 5, and map 5 Midtown always provides an easy. Citadel love to give those kind of games as well, but this being a best of 7, this map is so good. I think it's the pivotal map that gives you the most exciting games, and this could not be more exciting. Na'Vi fighting back, but their lives on the line. Is it going to be VP being able to make this 4-1?
I mean, I feel like it's going to be the ban draft, right? This ban draft is going to be so important. Are we going to see, now that Sparker's hero pool is starting to really be targeted on the side of Na'Vi, a save on a duelist when we go into our first block protect, as it's going to be the Mantis removed from both of these sides, and indeed it's not going to be a duelist, it is going to be the Captain America, because it being convoy, Captain America's stall is oh so frustrating for the attacker side to have to play against.
And every map that we've seen Virtus.pro play, all 8 of them now, they have gone for the Cap Protect first. We have seen this sort of lineup as well. Na'Vi have been protecting the Venom going into this one. Simiotic shenanigans, where they actually want to make sure that LeBron gets the ball to his hands. Crisis wants that Bucky.
Well, Sparker doesn't get his Psylocke, however, and now do Virtus.pro, because of the save on this Bucky, start feeling pressured. Kraken Impact plus Strangling Prison is not something that you want to let through the ban draft, but it looks like Virtus.pro don't want to let the Venom through, as at the moment Jeff has also not seen any presence in our draft.
Jeff has not been picked up yet. The Venom could also, with the Feast of the Abyss and Teal, set up for that Kraken impact, so they'd have a huge potential dive reset set up here. There's so much risk.
Yeah, Sharknado as well, when you got
Also
Dom on the first point as well, is the scary one. But for Virtus Pro, it might just be a case of going after the Vanguards, because usually they're trying to, you know, go for the team up with the Jeff Venom potentially, but also make sure that Trust Me has something to leverage that IGL position from, either playing the Venom or the Captain America. He's not got the chance of either.
Na'Vi going for the save on the Jeff after banning out the rocket, so Virtus Pro not going to have the BRB, not going to have the Cosmic Kion Amplifier. Is going to be off of a Lunar Ultimate instead if they want to be looking for an avenue of damage boost. How do Virtus Pro react to this? That Jeff save is going to force them into having to work out what exactly they go for. Is it going to be, well, a Psylocke ban? It has to be the Psylocke ban into the Star-Lord save, because Sparker knows if they didn't go for a save onto one of his duelists, likely Na'Vi would use that last ban to take both of them out of play.
It definitely felt that the Star-Lord was missing in that last map, but it's a one-sided Jeff to finish off for Na'Vi. On the defense first, Virtus Pro picking the map and the side, want to try to draw the line in the sand by getting all the way to third, all the way to the Avengers building on this map. And like we just mentioned, like, this map in EMEA is always so good. We've had so many great games. It could be the final one of this event and of also the circuit.
Na'Vi got the Winter Soldier and got the Groot as well as the Adam Warlock. So too did Virtus Pro. So we're likely going to be getting to see stall comps from both of these sides when we head into those defensive halves.
Potentially even for the Loki to go for the extra clones if they want to, but of course there is the risk of getting dove onto when you do that and getting them picked up quite quickly. Let's hear the final thoughts, starting with you, Moxie.
Virtus Pro, they were able to beat Midtown before. They did so against Citadel. This is the last match that they need to win to take it all. But Na'Vi, they're on a hot streak. They're going to be feeling themselves after that domination round.
And we're going to be heading into this next matchup. It could be the final if Virtus Pro take it, or a Na'Vi going to take us into just one more every time.
Na'Vi on the defense, either running that triple-triple or something they're more comfortable with. Crisis looking incredibly strong, coming in as a super sub and dominating on domination. Let's see if they can do it again.
Right now, VP is going to be starting on attack. Na'Vi on defense, looking to ignite their own sort of play style on this triple-triple. Or rather, it isn't even triple-triple. It is with that Bucky for defense. It's going to be an interesting mix-up for them.
Yeah, only 2 Vanguards there. They will have that res from Jerky, who's going to be on that Adam Warlock. Crisis, once again, on the Winter Soldier, looking so good as Fate now gets an early pick there for the side of Na'Vi. Into Nevix, there will be no Rocket for the side of VP, so they cannot come back with a quick BRB. And we will see if they can come back in this next fight early.
And that's a rare pick too. Nevix is playing so well so far, and Vincere has been not been the one feeding, but maybe if they set up eliminations on Nevix, that'd be huge. There we go, that's the change-up that they want. Now they're gonna switch over to Storm Punisher, but the Bucky does well against this ship. You can ground the players in the sky.
Yeah, that's typically the comp we see run into a triple-triple comp, but we've seen Na'Vi, they really like to hold this building in front here, and their Soul Bond goes out into big cooldown. Walls, Iron Wall actually is gonna be locked down on the front side, and that's a ton of damage there. Sparker just not missing at all, dropping back now with the invisible boundary. Level 1 Crook having a commitment. Rajaro gonna find a pick there on a Finzi though, and Nevix gonna drop back with Strangling Prison. But gets pulled right back. It's matched here by Saipei. Everyone pressing Q right now as the itch Jeff goes under from Fade, and that gets burned from Dredro and Sparker.
Yeah, you can't live from that last stand. I mean, you have Jerky going down too. Needs to not use that cocoon. Just scouting him out, right? You can see Sparker. Hello, how you doing? Goodbye. Back to the spawn. You go save that cooldown, that cocoon for later on. Na'Vi is going to be able to sub Jerky too. And that's the important part, not using those cooldowns. Finzi as well, going for that scout. Won't pop the portal necessarily unless they know they have a free elimination. But he actually goes with the portal, never mind, on the backside just to distract them. Actually, no, sets it off the map. If somebody takes that portal, they're heading to the third phase of the map.
Trust me, with an early Strangling Prison there. Up in the sky goes Crisis, using it to drop backwards. Could not find a ton of value. It was a little bit too risky, but it did force out Dredro into using that dance floor, and that's enough value. Here comes the Omega Hurricane. Will there be an answer? Not right now. The Born Again gets launched early, preemptively, to bring back Trust Me from that Omega Hurricane. Finzi now in a level 1 Crook. Everybody coming back into the fight, and they all fall, but can they touch? 3 minutes 2, they can as they get there, but the walls go out. Can they have good focus? Bond, cooldown being used too, and Sparker in a really good spot.
Yeah, Sparker's going to be huge here. I mean, last stand's coming up, so is Rajaro. Can he find the eliminations before Rajaro slam dunks? Here comes Finzi with the Freedom Charge to buy them time. Rajaro saving out of the Meteor M to counter, but level 1 Crook falls, so does Fate. He's going to have to use it in panic maybe if they want to win.
Wow, that is a huge cleanup there, and the pick on Invis after popping that boundary is so much value, and that is the power of the shotty there from Punisher and Sparker.
And they're deciding if they want to change up. Nevic's looking towards that spawn, maybe for something else. Rajaro going to stick around on that Meteor M. He's still going to have to go big in the subsequent fight, but Sparker's off of that Punisher onto the Star-Lord. Nevix and Finzi also been switching. They know that Rajaro would save that ult to counter them, so they're changing up well. Rajaro's going to have to go for a huge Meteor M regardless, and Fate, he could set him up too with a bubble onto him to make sure he can get a big eat.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of teams switching up comps after taking point one because it does lend itself to a little more brawly, uptight playstyle. Fi on the backside, Rajaro in the sky here, looking for a Meteor downtown. Does it land? It does hit, but it does not get a KO. One eat here from Fate, who's already low in HP, still trying to take out Luna, as Fi is going to use virtually every cooldown to stay healthy at the current moment. Jerky is going to keep him zoned, but Crisis takes out Dreedro, and that should put them up a number.
I mean, he's dodging around, sort of like a ninja on the back line. Meanwhile, BP surrounded the backside. Got Sparker in the high ground with the Guardians Legend.
Wow.
Galactic Legend around the Sparker finds level 1 Crook also in the Crisis. They find Jerky too, and with that cooldown, Jerky decides if he wants to pop it or not. No, they just want to fall on the payload.
And this is again looking like VP that we saw in the first 3 maps here. Na'Vi trying to bounce back and take point 2. This is a very defensible spot. Can they get back there in time? Ult's available, and they are slightly up, but Dreedro will have ult site base soon. There's a lot of answers coming. Virtually every ult going to be there for the side of VP as there is commitment now. Let the devil out here from 5. Now on the front side, gonna beat Emma down, who does fall, I believe.
Oh my god, it's so close, but Jerky brings it back. Also giving him the overhealth from that Resurrect. The cooldown falls out. Rajaro falls before. The res come actually is here. 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. They give it up as well. The pressure is too much from Team Virtus Pro as Na'Vi are sent back to spawn.
VP said, we saw what you guys just did in the last map. It's time for us to pop off once more as they take point 2 relatively quickly. 3 minutes and 33 seconds available here on point 3. This is going to be very difficult to hold, but it can be done at the very last of point 3. The spawn is incredibly close. Let's see if VP can push all the way through.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a hard point to fully cap on, but VP, we talked about how good they are on Midtown. The Death did. Na'Vi can be as good, but the fact that VP is already in this 3rd phase with this time bank is terrifying for Na'Vi.
Now goes that invisible boundary. Match right back, the Venn diagram, if you will, there from the invisible boundaries. Now everybody staying healthy, just trying to build all charge as fast as possible. Na'Vi only has a few answers so far. Sparker likely going to hit the sky, just waiting until get some HP back, and that's going to be tough to get away from. And down goes Jerky. Looking now towards the back line. Nevik cleans up level 1 Crook. Is there more? Very low HP once more, but Rajaro gets a trade. Doesn't matter as Finzi takes out Fate in the back line.
And there's just no plays coming out of them. I mean, the aggressiveness from VP, they're setting up their dives with the invisible boundary out of side pay. It's just so smart to set up their invisible boundary to be better than the other teams, right? Level 1 Crook forced to react. You would think he would theoretically have the better invisible boundary, but because of the positioning of it, it allows Fi to play more aggressive, like you said, out of these Daredevil players, and then he can always hide in the high grounds later on.
Yeah, Fi has been looking like one of the best Daredevils in this tournament as a whole. Up in the sky, goes that Galactic Legend this time from the side of Jerky. Pulls out the dance floor from Dreedro. Nevix holding on to that piece, which could be damage boosted. Here it is, but coming in heavy. Crisis gonna find one again with that Kraken impact on a Sparker. And once more coming down with the reset as Rajaro takes out Dreedro. Not able to find a 3rd reset there, but good patience and presence on the point.
Is anybody hiding? Where's Fi at right now in this fight? It looks like with the team, okay? Just making sure no potential back half happens. Yep, 100% Shib, you're right. Right now they walk in, Freedom Charge pump, Finzi, they're going towards that objective. Meteor M from Rajaro, could it be big this time? No, this time it zones, and he loses his backline. Oh no, that's everybody. Crisis, Fate, Crook both fall. Fly on Metacard, able to get so much damage on the Jerky and close it out versus Na'Vi and shut down all of the rumors of a potential reverse sweep as VP cap out with 1:30 in the clock.
VP will force overtime no matter what. Na'Vi backs are more against the wall than they ever have been. The only option is to fully push. If you want the reverse sweep here, folks, you need to get loud as Na'Vi needs to hear it as they are now in a very dangerous position.
Huge shout out to those of you in attendance today at DreamHack Atlanta. It's been a pleasure watching over these games with you, and it's been a pleasure, I'm sure, for these players who, I mean, well, maybe it's the opposite, actually, just kidding. I mean, the pressure is mounting. You can see level 1 Crook on stage. could be leveling down on the opposite side for Sparker. He has reached his potential. We talk about players and how well they play on the main stage, and Sparker's got that experience first of all, but second of all, at home and in his own region has been the player everybody talks about across the world as well. So Sparker has the respect of his opponents, I'm sure. Meanwhile, for Na'Vi, what can they do on their attack?
Yeah, the stat lines here, you can see only a few, actually nobody is positive on the side of Na'Vi, but that is a very tough look because it's a tack-sided map, assuming you can get through this first hold here, but Portal coming through will guarantee 3 fights for the most part. The triple Vanguard is up here, but this time for VP, which was not chose by the side of Na'Vi.
And I was going to say, this is a map, by the way, VP is good, and as are Na'Vi, but, I mean, VP's looked better this tournament regard. However, I believe, if I remember right, Na'Vi actually, when they were at Rad Esports, beat VP on the snap to qualify for mid-season and keep VP in Europe, so that's an interesting thing to point out.
Fights begin now. VP going to hide in the exact same location. Maybe take that into ladder with your team as a very defensible spot. Your team can patty cake in the back line and still look forwards as a unit. Crisis going to drive the front line backwards towards those strategists and try to burn this shield the front side from the side of Phi, who's going to be on that Doctor Strange.
Now they're figuring it out like around this backside. Crisis just damage into those walls. Meanwhile, Jerky kind of pummeling into Phi. Does he go down? Yes, he does. Surrounded. Phi. We've seen these comps work before dealing with Virtus Pro, but they have Phi going down first, which means they'll be able to set up an early portal play, so that could have been tactical out of them long term.
Yeah, Rajaro cleaning up there with Trust Me, he was going to be on the Thor. I'm sure the Thor mains are getting stoked now. He's getting some play and looking clean at the current moment. Bouncing back from that negative KD to look for some more picks here as we start our second fight of this first point.
Phi walks out now, everybody towards that objective. Trust Me falls low, but Jerky's still getting all the damage on the Carnavix. Meanwhile, pressuring out that Jeff ultimate in the sky, he goes.
2 got a Thunders out there now as the It's Jeff goes through. Does that one find success? It has Invis trying to get off map here. Fate is able to find one. Is going to try to make that 1v1 work, but Crisis with a 3-piece. Crisis with a damage boost is going to continue to pop off and try to push through this point here as they are going to try to find a stagger if possible, or at least stop the portal back, which looks like it will not be selected at the current moment.
And that Jeff mismatch kind of coming through, enabling Na'Vi and Fade. VP can't contest the card. We're heading to the second segment, and Na'Vi, they need to rebuild what they had going on earlier, but they can do it. Any team can. VP, meanwhile, have Sparker, one of the best players of this team's short lifespan. Phi already finds Fate in the backside. Crisis trades backside Bay, but Fate is raised by level 1 Cook, who's on Rocket Raccoon now.
Fate with a pick on Phi there. This team comp is so brawly, which does work well, specifically on this point. Nevix try to match it right back as level 1 Crook. He's going to be able to take out Finzi, who was just trying to stall that point.
I think they're going to swap off the Thor now, Shib. I mean, you do get stuns now, right, with the Thor as this recent patch, but out of the ultimate, see what happens.
Stun out of ultimate and ground, actually, which you can cancel out something like Sparker in the sky there with the Galactic Legend, but timing of that has to be virtually perfect. Trust Me definitely has the capability to make that happen. We'll see if that comes through. But we will see this next fight begin here. Phi on the high side are coming in from behind towards the back line. Very dangerous position here now on the side of Fade, who's able to escape. Commitment is still coming through from Phi, who's now going to take the height, and still is holding on to that ultimate. Crazy movement here by Fade, and what a good peel there by Rajaro. Finzi gets a pick there to match it right back as VP is still holding on to a ton of ultimates here.
A great fight there from VP with really not many ults, but this is every time they have Invisible Boundary, it feels like. I mean, VP pops that out of side bay. They win the fight. They go aggressive with it. Na'Vi swaps Crook now over to the Invisible Woman. Makes sense as well to match that on side bay's angle. It wasn't really banned for both angles. We did see a protection for the side of VP around that hero, and Na'Vi. We'll see what they want to do moving forward because the Rocket Raccoon give up is going to be interesting.
And the engagement comes in. The Itch Jeff goes down to Matt right back up in the sky with a Galactic Legend. Sparker, Phi finds one. Sparker with another. Oh, and Thor coming in with a God of Thunder is not able to find one, but Saipei gets a 2-piece on the back of that ultimate. There was a lot of commitment there. Still 3 available for VP, and Na'Vi just trying to get those ults back.
Mid-season, by the way, just want to point out a strategist won our finals MVP. Saipei could enter that discussion, but Phi, I mean, and Sparker, basically this whole crew, it just seems like it's such a team-oriented effort. Dritro as well, connecting with that freeze cross map slows down Na'Vi for now.
Fade making that switch with that damage boost here with the Terror Cloak could be very important. Let's see if they're able to make that work. Trust me. Dancing around the point here now on Emma to try to brawl some of that brawl, and that is a good tackle there on the Sparker. Is there follow-up? No. Crisis takes out Phi. Nevix now on a Jerky. Both duelists are down. And that was a big pick there against VP, as Vi did have ultimate available. There's an escape there from Vincere, who does have to burn a lot of that shield health, but team's gonna re-fight once more as a unit.
The problem is Finzi's been so maneuverable on top of getting all the support from his team. Sparker backs on out of there. He's hiding on the high ground, comes down through the backside. Here comes that Devil within from Phi, diving towards that back line.
Letting that Devil out. Doesn't look like it's going to get too much value, as you only really take damage when you are looking at the ultimate. And when you're blind, excuse me, Sparker now going to find Jerky. Rajaro going to find Nevix to trade it right back, and that is a Vanguard for a Duelist. Level 1 Crook now low. Fade able to escape there inside of that boundary. But down goes Jerky, who did have that Ensong Inferno available. Fade now with the Eternal Bond. The team walking forward. Sparker does commit that ult, and they still are able to find Crisis through that Eternal Bond. That is some really good focus and a ton of value. From almost 4 minutes to 1:30, VP have locked back in, and they do not want this to go the distance, as Rajaro, though, finds one. Trust me as well. Can they bounce back? Saipei is in a danger spot. Phi goes down. Finzi, Sparker falls as Rajaro cleans up.
Could this be what they needed? They need to switch Trust Me to the Emma Frost potentially, but that was a huge and a long fight for VP. I mean, the time was burned, and we're down to 1 minute and 5 seconds. VP on their attack, we're snowballing through this sort of phase. Na'Vi, though, Meteor M could close out as against VP, who do have that Freedom Charge ready to go, though, and counter that potential damage from Rajaro, and the one shot is removed.
Engagement begins again. Meteor M available. Finzi, though, going to find level 1 Crook early in the fight, and that is a huge pick. His ult was almost available. 45 seconds on. We're in final fight territory here, folks, for the side of VP and Na'Vi. They need to clutch up now. The res comes through for Rajaro, but at this point, you just want to fall and reset as a team. Potentially seeing that portal come through.
Yeah, 40 seconds and 32 seconds now is not a lot of time, so you have to think about what potential portal plays. Rajaro getting staggered! This could be the stagger that ends the tournament for them. The bubble, was this too greedy? They're diving on Rajaro, pulling him back in again from Saipei into the invisible boundaries, doesn't even live!
Wow, that is so much commitment. VP played that absolutely flawlessly, forcing out another cooldown and ultimate. 13 seconds available here, folks, as they are still holding 9. Can they get there for the touch? It is looking like they're forcing commitment. And after missing mid-season, the Bear has awoken from hibernation. Every battle, every heartbeat, every moment has all led to here. Etching their name in history, your new Grand Finals champions, Virtus Pro!
Huge win from a squad that has dominated EMEA in the past, missing mid-season as you called out. In excellent fashion, Shiv. They get it done. VP can finally start their legacy and cement themselves in etching themselves in history. And I know, trust me, it looks dejected at the current moment for, a really tough and well-fought match. Na'Vi, they should not feel bad, Shiv. That's the thing. They made top 2. It's an incredibly tough journey. Trust me, he's been talking about this the whole tournament, how everybody's been putting in so much work behind the scenes. It's tough to really beat somebody as strong as VP, and you can see these guys are good friends checking on Trust Me, because Europe did not let us down, right? Everybody from Europe, EMEA played well. We had our 2 top teams are from EMEA, and we know how good this region is. Everybody in the international stage now does, and they are champions for good reason over an incredibly difficult region through those mid-season, or through the mid-season miss, like you said earlier.
Yeah. America Man will not be rejoiced because the EMEA is looking so good out here in this world, claiming dominance. But Virtus Pro, out of all teams, coming through and shining brightest, taking a 4-1 sweep onto Na'Vi, looking absolutely beautifully clean.
And Virtus Pro walking up to that trophy. You guys can lift it because you are our brand new champions of the Grand Finals, Virtus Pro!
show up. They came here to show the world. Your grand final champions, Virtus Pro. I've got to ask right away. Saw so much emotion there at the desk. What was it like seeing that victory screen for the first time?
We put so much work into this victory. It's been like a year we played together, so it's a lot of emotions. We're all very happy. It was a long day, and we all did amazing.
Saipe, I've got to ask you, y'all make it look easy out there, but I know that this cost y'all so much, this took so much. Walk me through that. What did it cost the team? How much prep went into this moment?
Well, basically, we've been practicing the entire year for this. It's been a lot of work, and I'm happy it finally paid off in the grand finals.
Listen, Virtus Pro, you guys are legends now, etched in history. As we look forward, what's next for you guys?
We're just going to keep winning every tournament next year, and that's what's next for us, yeah.
Sparker, I'll get to you in a second. I'm going to come over here to Nevix, and I've got to ask, what does this team, what does this family mean to you, Nevix?
A lot. I spend like every day during the year with these guys. We practice a lot. I love the guys, and they deserve this.
Fine, got to ask you, you've been through so much here. What was it like watching other teams, heck, the team across you lift the trophy back in June, now you're here in November, and it's you up here, your team. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, we felt really left out in China. It was really sad that we didn't qualify, but we're really happy that we're here now. We're finally land proven.
We can't leave you out. What words you got to say?
I mean, nothing. I'm really proud of them. You know, they only see, I mean, the fans only see, obviously, the mechanics, the team play, but those guys are extremely professional and mature. They deserve this more than anyone. I truly believe that. And I'm finally happy. Me personally, this is my first championship, and I don't know. Like, I'm just so proud of them. It's like hard for me to even like have anything to say, honestly.
Hey, Sparker, I want you to head on over there, buddy. We've got something for you. Head on over to Tetra.
Have a very special thing for you today, as I am joined by the executive producer of Marvel Games, Danny Koo, and Guangguan, the creative director of Marvel Rivals, here to crown your finals MVP. It's Sparker! Please take your trophy behind you. How do you feel your first championship and finals MVP?
I feel amazing. I don't know if I will ever, I will chase this high for the rest of my life.
Do you have any words for anyone at home?
I don't know. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone on my team, my friends, my parents, everyone. I don't know.
What's there coming up now for Virtus Pro? Are you bringing it back next year?
Yeah, I don't think I want to play Marvel with anyone else but these people.
And thank you very much for giving us such an incredible grand finals. Before we head over to Cozy, give it up one more time for your finals MVP, Sparker!
Hey, y'all, come on back in the middle here. I want to get all of Virtus Pro right here. Hey, Sparker, come on over. Listen, I know you said this would be the greatest moment of your life if you won it right here. And we're here. Y'all are champions. Soak it in Atlanta. Make some noise here for Virtus Pro. This has been the birth of Rival Esports, and it's just now starting. I want to give a big thank you, as always, to Guangguan and Netties Games, Danny Koo over there with Marvel Games, and DreamHack, all of you, thank you for being a part of history for this team. If you want to know what's going on next after this, well, stay tuned. In about a week from now, you're going to find out a lot more, y'all. One more time before we end this thing, let's give it up for your grand final champions of 2025, Virtus Pro! Let's lift the trophy. Let's go! Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for watching. Coming here live in Atlanta. These are the Kings on top. We'll find out what's next. Have a great night. Enjoy yourselves and ignite the battle.
The lights gripping tightly, trapping all those fighting souls. But yet, across the world I see you standing in my way. And remember the time, the place we used to fight, like the sun and moon. And I wonder if ever there was a time that we were friends. Night has fallen, shadows looming, and yes, the time has come for me to seek you out. We are set now for our last reunion. Break the chains, find your way. Do you remember who you really are? Show me that you are still the only